Chapter 1234. Luo Xingji swept his gaze across the bright sword forest's mountain gate and could not help but smile. What? Does such a huge bright sword forest only rear a bunch of cowards? Do they want you to block my tens of thousands of hunters by yourself? That's right, Lin Muyu said casually and smiled. I alone am enough. How dare you? A burly man standing not far behind Luo Xingji flew up with a steel saber in hand. His face was filled with anger as he said, Alliance leader, let me deal with this Lin Muyu first. Luo Yang said, the Fire Thunder Guardian deity must be careful. Yes, Alliance leader. Needless to say, this burly man was also a guardian deity of the Hunters' Union, one of Luo Xingji's 7 guardian deities. The flames and lightning on the saber resonated with each other, and a snake-like glow flew around it. The surrounding aura instantly became violent, causing the fallen leaves in front of the mountain gate to roll. He brazenly slashed his saber at Lin Muyu. If the saber landed on the ground, the large boulder in front of the mountain gate would probably be split in two. As expected, none of the 7 guardian deities were vegetarians. However, Lin Muyu's calmness was beyond imagination. When the Fire Thunder Guardian deity's saber was less than 5 meters away from her head, she leisurely raised her finger. Her index and middle fingers formed a sword, and suddenly, a rainbow soared into the sky and pierced through the Fire Thunder Guardian deity's heart. Fresh blood spurted into the air. The protective chi of the flaming thunder Vajra was penetrated by the sword chi like cotton. His body flew backward and fell on the grass. Fresh blood spurted out for 10 meters. It was very frightening. Oh my God! The eyes of the group of hunters were filled with horror. The legendary 7 guardian deities couldn't even withstand a single round. Who was this young expert in front of them? Lin Muyu smiled faintly. Luo Xingji, why send your subordinates to their deaths? Why don't you do it yourself? Oomph! Luo Xingji gently waved the paper fan in his hand and smirked. Is killing a mere Fire Thunder Guardian deity worth it for you to be so arrogant? Don't forget that I have thousands of hunters. Can you kill them all? It can give it a try. Lin Muyu smiled brilliantly. Go. Luo Xingji raised his paper fan, his handsome face twisted with anger. Attack him together. I don't believe he can withstand the attack of millions of hunters alone. Everyone drew their weapons and flew in all directions, like a swarm of locusts pouncing on a rice field. Unfortunately, Lin Muyu was not a rice field. The moment the dense crowd crushed towards Lin Muyu, the people on the periphery could no longer see his figure. They could only see lightning, wind blades, frost, stone awls, and other attacks exploding in the air. He'll be fine, right? Ru Yan's pretty face was filled with worry. Ria, on the other hand, raised her eyebrows and said proudly, how could these rotten tomatoes and potatoes be a match for my master? Don't worry, my master is much more powerful than all of them. Is that so? Ru Yan smiled faintly. Ria's trust and admiration for her master, Lin Muyu, was almost unconditional. In her heart, Lin Muyu was an invincible existence, and the scene in front of her seemed to confirm all of this. Boom! The space suddenly distorted and exploded. With Lin Muyu as the center, a huge sword domain sphere surged out. It was originally only about 3 meters in radius, but it continued to surge and expand. The periphery of the sphere was full of the raging Xinyuan sword chi. Anyone who touched it would die immediately. Blood constantly splashed in the air. In an instant, the sphere had reached a radius of nearly 20 meters, and countless people had been killed. What the hell is this? Break it for me! A Vajra-level hunter roared. Everyone raised their weapons and unleashed their divine power to bombard the sphere. Clanging sounds rang out incessantly, but no one was able to penetrate the sphere. On the contrary, the rampaging sword chi around the sphere killed another group of people. In the blink of an eye, the ground was already covered with the corpses of the hunters. They were born to hunt and eat others, but at this moment, they had become the prey of others in a sorry state. In the forest and at the foot of the mountain, there were countless hunters pouncing on Lin Muyu. There were tens of thousands of them, and they were like a rushing river. Don't stop attacking! Luo Xingji roared. This was the only way he could think of. Things had developed far beyond his imagination, and Lin Muyu's strength was even more unimaginable. However, if he did not kill Lin Muyu today, Luo Xingji would probably not have a foothold in the Eternal Sword domain. However, Luo Xingji could not understand where Lin Muyu's strange power came from. Luo Xingji. Lin Muyu's low voice came from the sword domain sphere. How many people do you want to die before you're satisfied? Boom! The front of the sphere split open, and a mighty sword aura slashed out with enough force to split the heavens and the earth, directly blasting into the densely packed crowd. In an instant, over 1,000 hunters were reduced to ashes, and the sword aura continued to fall towards Luo Xingji's head. Luo Xingji did not expect Lin Muyu to be able to attack him when she was surrounded by tens of thousands of people. He waved the paper fan in his hand, which was made of a special material, and a strong wind rapidly condensed in the air. It was Luo Xingji's ultimate skill, Wall of Wind. Bang! The sword chi slammed into the wall of wind, and it was like hitting the surface of an umbrella. Ripples spread out, and then the wall of wind shattered with a loud bang. Luo Xingji's face immediately turned pale. His unique ultimate skill could not even block a sword chi from Lin Muyu from 300 meters away? Luo Xingji was even more shocked when he raised his head to look. Lin Muyu was flying toward him at high speed, surrounded by sword chi. She easily weaved her way through the thousands of soldiers and horses. She raised her hand and drew the Xinyuan sword, and slashed it down heavily on Luo Xingji. The momentum of the sword was like a rainbow, as if the mountains and rivers were pressing down. It seemed simple, but it made Luo Xingji feel a chill run down his spine. It was a terrifying sword that Luo Xingji had never seen before, and it was absolutely difficult to resist. Luo Xingji's domain was like a mirror-like lake. When faced with an enemy's attack, it was like facing a stone falling into the water. However, Lin Muyu's sword contained the mysteries of heaven and earth, making Luo Xingji feel like he was not facing a sword, but a rain falling from the sky. Even the most perfect defense could not withstand such a cold and dense attack. Ugh! Luo Xingji quickly retreated, and at the same time he held the paper fan with both hands. He let out a roar, and a whirlwind of black flames surged around him. Black flaming wind was the ultimate skill that Luo Xingji had cultivated for many years. However, Lin Muyu's sword still arrived as expected, and it landed directly on the back of the paper fan. With a purng, the fan's ribs broke into pieces, and Luo Xingji's black flaming wind was cut apart like tofu. Under Lin Muyu's attack, Luo Xingji did not have any strength left, and he was sent flying while vomiting a mouthful of blood. Luo Xingji fell onto a green rock at the edge of the cliff, and he vomited blood in a sorry state. He raised his head to look at Lin Muyu with a pale face, only to find that Lin Muyu's sword was lowered, and that Lin Muyu was looking at him indifferently. Lin Muyu's gaze made Luo Xingji's hair stand on end, and he could not help but ask, "What are you trying to do?" "Nothing." The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth curled up, and she smiled. "Luo Xingji, based on your cultivation, you are no match for Meng Taifeng. You will definitely die under Meng Tiefeng's Eternal Sword domain in 5 moves. So, can you explain to me why you are equally famous as Meng Taifeng?" "That's just the flattery of others. What does it have to do with me?" "Is that so?" Lin Muyu walked forward step by step and said, "I've changed my mind. There's no point in killing you, but I want you to do something for me. Otherwise, I'll still kill you." "What is it?" Luo Xingji saw a glimmer of hope, and at the same time he looked at the broken ribs of the fan in his hand and was extremely shocked. The ribs of the dragon bone fan were even harder than divine weapons, and yet they could not even withstand a single blow. Lin Muyu looked at him indifferently and said, "I want you to immediately give the order to disband the Hunters' League and let them live on their own." "What?" Luo Xingji was greatly shocked, and his handsome face was full of unwillingness. After all, the Hunters' League was a great cause that he had managed for many years, and now that it was disbanded just like that, one could imagine the deep sense of loss in his heart. "Die, or disband the Hunters' League. It's your choice," Lin Muyu said indifferently. In the sky, the densely packed Hunters' League had surrounded them, and all of them were ready to fight. They were shouting words like, "Save the league leader," but they still maintained a distance of 100 meters. Just now, they had been scared out of their wits by Lin Muyu's strength, so they did not dare to actually attack. Taking the initiative to attack now would only be courting death. Luo Xingji's entire body was trembling. He still had at least 80% of his divine power left in his body, but he was no longer able to resist the pressure of Lin Muyu's powerful domain. That mountainous proud sword technique sword domain was like an otherworldly power, and it was impossible to resist. "I agree," he said after coughing up a mouthful of blood. "Then make the announcement," Lin Muyu said indifferently. Luo Xingji straightened his body and said loudly to the people in the sky. Luo Xingji announced that from today onwards, the Hunters League is officially disbanded. All of you can run away and leave. From today onwards, the Hunters League will no longer exist, and you will no longer be bound by anything. The Hunters League looked at each other in silence. Lin Muyu laughed loudly. "What are you waiting for? Get lost. Are you waiting for me to change my mind and kill all of you hunters?" The crowd scattered like a forest of birds flying away in an instant. It was a depressing scene. Sigh. Luo Xingji sighed and slowly knelt on the green rock. He said, "Lin Muyu, are you satisfied now? You've destroyed everything I had, everything I cherished as much as my life." "No, I haven't destroyed everything you had yet." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "But it will be soon. Are you ready?" "Ready for what?" "To cripple your martial arts and dispel your cultivation so that you can no longer do evil." "What?" Luo Xingji stood up abruptly. "Lin Muyu, you've gone too far." "Buzz." Lin Muyu stood majestically without a change in her expression, but wisps of golden brilliance condensed into sword chi that flew out and severed Luo Xingji's vital meridians. Even his spirit bones and major meridians were destroyed at the same time. Chapter 12:35. Come out. She opened her palm, and a bright forged immortal lattice was forcibly sucked out from Luo Xingji's will see. Luo Xingji howled in pain, and his body twitched. However, Lin Muyu did not show any mercy. She directly absorbed the forged immortal lattice into her palm, and then dispersed the sacred martial energy on her body. Luo Xingji knelt on the ground. His body was covered in blood and the robe he was wearing was already dyed red. His meridians were all injured and his cultivation had completely dissipated. However, Lin Muyu had shown mercy and did not destroy all his meridians. He still had the ability to be an ordinary person, at least doing some manual labor. However, this was probably more painful than killing him. "But why didn't you just kill me?" Luo Xingji shouted. Lin Muyu turned around and walked towards the mountain gate. "You were bullying the weak when you killed the innocent. Now, I'll give you a chance to be the weak and let you feel the feeling of being bullied." "I don't need it. Kill me." Luo Xingji's face turned pale. Lin Muyu smiled and looked at Elder Tian Nan in the outer hall. "Senior, Luo Xingji's karma is too deep. Why don't you take him as your disciple? I believe the Bright Sword Forest is enough to cleanse Luo Xingji's killing karma." Elder Tian Nan nodded happily. "Shirhan, Ru Yen, send Luo Xingji to the guest room." "Yes, master." When Shirhan and Ru Yen carried Luo Xingji's body, Luo Xingji looked angry. "I don't need it. The Bright Sword Forest can cleanse my killing karma, but what about you? Lin Muyu, who will cleanse your killing karma?" Lin Muyu turned around and said, "Me? I'll chant the Mahayana Heart Sutra every night. Can you compare?" Luo Xingji was speechless and was carried by Shirhan and Ru Yen towards the prayer altar. "Master." Leah flew down from the roof and held onto Lin Muyu's arm. "Master, are you all right? So many people attacked you just now. Are you hurt?" "How could I be?" Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, "They can't hurt me. Leah, you don't have to worry. Let's go to the back of the mountain to continue cultivating." Time. What Lin Muyu needed the most was still time. He couldn't return to the divine realm with the half-practiced AO sword tactics. That was not enough to fight against the power of the devil realm. He must practice the complete AO sword tactics to be invincible under the deterrence of Ziyen and the god-destroying tower. At this time, In the depths of the demon realm, in the deep dark universe, the stars were shining brightly. In the depths of the nebula, a huge whirlpool bathed in the galaxy, like a huge eye, but the eye was blood red. Two figures flew past and went straight into the blood-red whirlpool. They were Ziyan and Baifeng Holy King, who were holding onto the god-destroying pagoda. "This is the demon eye?" Ziyan stopped and asked as he looked at the shining demon eye in the distance. "Yes, Lord Ancestor Emperor." Baifeng looked a little perturbed and said, "Ancestor Emperor, are you really going to remove the seal for that old monster?" "Of course." Ziyan had a confident expression on his face and said with a smile, "In the ancient demon-sealing war, only he escaped, which created the prosperity of the demon realm today. As long as he is willing to help me, why worry about not being able to eliminate those Mahayana god of heaven's way?" "But," Baifeng was a little hesitant and said, "the old monster has been sealed for so many years, and his cultivation is already unfathomable. Once he is released, Ancestor Emperor, do you have the confidence to restrain him?" "Don't worry, I have the god-destroying tower. Moreover, Baifeng, you don't even know the secret of the god-destroying tower." "Oh? What secret?" Ziyan smiled and said in a low voice, "The reason why the god-destroying tower was forged was not to eliminate gods, but to eliminate demons. The power of the god-destroying tower against demons is many times more terrifying than the power of gods. I have already swallowed the power of the two holy emperor. Do you think that with the addition of the god-destroying tower, we won't be able to defeat a mere old monster?" "I see. Since Ancestor Emperor is so confident, then let's go in." Ziyan raised his palm and instantly, a crack appeared on the demon eye. The two of them jumped in and felt that their bodies had instantly entered an extremely cold place. It was pitch black inside the demon eye, and there were giant vines that were covered in frost crisscrossing around it. It was as if they had formed a giant net that reached the sky. "He's there," Baifeng called out softly. Ziyan flew over and raised the god-destroying tower. Under the illumination of the light, they could see the crisscrossing vines intertwining like a spider's web. In the center, there was a white-haired old man sealed. His body was already covered with plants, and his meridians were pierced by the vines. His entire body was almost rotting, and even his beard had started to corrode. Frost covered about 10 centimeters of it, and it was crystal clear. "Is he still alive?" Baifeng was stunned. "He's alive." Ziyan's cultivation was much higher than Baifeng's. He stretched out his hand and touched the frost. In the blink of an eye, the layer of frost quickly melted, revealing the old man's true appearance. He was incomparably old, and the flesh on his face was sunken in. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the old man's major meridians and vital points had all been nailed by golden nails. Those were the god-locking nails, divine objects from the ancient era. Pulling out the god-locking nails was equivalent to removing the seal. This was something that no demon had ever dared to do in millions of years. Are we really going to do that?" Baifeng and the Holy King were a little nervous. "Of course." Ziyan said indifferently, "This old man has been lonely here for hundreds of thousands of years. We can't be so indifferent anymore. There are good demons too. We have to respect the old and love the young. Isn't that right, Baifeng?" Baifeng frowned and was speechless. Ziyan smiled faintly and reached out to pull out the soul-locking nail from the elder's first target. However, the old man did not move at all. It was as if he was dead. His body was withered. Baifeng stood at the side anxiously. Ziyan continued to pull out the god-locking nails. He pulled out 7 or 8 of them in a row. At this moment, the old man suddenly sat up and took a deep breath. His withered body seemed to be inflated. He opened his rotten eyes. There was only white in his eyes. It was very scary. After a while, his pupils appeared. He stared at Ziyan and Baifeng and said, "What time is it now?" "It's been 210,000 years since Senior was sealed." Ziyan said, "Why did you save me?" The old man said indifferently. Ziyan took a deep breath and took a few steps back. He knelt and said, "I am the current lord of the demon world, Ziyan. But you are my senior. Ziyan begs Senior to come out and destroy the Mahayana Heavenly Tao for the demon world. Mahayana Heavenly Tao? Yes, the Heavenly Tao created by ancestor god Pangu's 3 disciples. It's that old man again. The old man grinned in a horrifying manner. He stared straight at Bai Feng and said, I agree to your request. However, I also have a condition. Give this girl to me. I want to exercise a bit. What? Bai Feng Holy King was shocked. He looked at Ziyan for help. Ziyan smiled faintly. He bowed and said, Senior, Bai Feng is my right-hand man. You can choose any woman in the demon world. If you like, you can go to the divine world and catch a Mahayana Heavenly Tao goddess to enjoy. The old man stood up and said, I can't even satisfy such a small request. What cooperation is there to talk about? As he spoke, a formless aura spread out. Instantly, all the vines in the demon eye were shattered. Even Ziyan and Bai Feng had to use their demon flame to protect themselves. Senior, what do you think this is? Ziyan raised his hand and the god-destroying pagoda shone brightly. With a buzz, a blood-colored light descended from the sky and enveloped the old man's head. The entire demon world started to tremble and the destructive power was ready to be unleashed. Ziyan looked at him and said, Senior, do you recognize this item? A godly weapon of the future. The old man said, You actually have such a treasure. Ziyan smiled and said, Therefore, the relationship between me and Senior is not a cooperation, it is an order. I am the master of the devil world, and as the master of the devil world, I command you. 9 Netherworld Demon Monarch, serve me, otherwise, I will not seal you, I will only make you disappear into thin air. The demon king of the 9 underworlds trembled. He squinted at Ziyan. After a while, he knelt down and said, 9 underworlds await your orders. Let's go back to the Fekta temple. Once the demon chi in the god-destroying tower is full, we will attack the divine world again. This time, we must destroy the entire Mahayana Heavenly Tao. Yes. At the side, Holy King Bai Feng looked at Ziyan with gratitude. If not for Ziyan, she, the Holy King, would have become the old monster's bedding. Lanyan City, dusk. It was quiet in the spiritual medicine division. The medicine refiners talked and laughed as they went to the canteen. During this period of time, there were almost no more battles in the empire. Therefore, the spiritual medicine division used less medicine. Everyone could have a good rest. Great Deacon. A young lady who was as agile as a swallow flew over. It was Lan Yen. She said with a smile, Good news. There's news from the celestial pole continent. It said that Prince Exen has already ascended to become a god. Chu Yao put down the medical book in her hands, raised her head, and said with a smile, I already know. Lan Yan's eyes widened. How is that possible? This news has just reached the Zetian Palace. I just came back from the Zetian Palace. How could the Great Deacon know about it earlier than me? Actually, I already knew about it last night. Big Brother Feng has been conferred the title of Wind God. It's really amazing. How did the Great Deacon do it? Over here, the Heavenly Melody Scroll has never appeared in the sky. I don't know either. It's just that I had a dream in the middle of the night. I dreamt of all this and it felt extremely real. Could it be that the Great Deacon already knows how to foresee the future? How would I know? Chu Yao giggled. Little lass, let's not talk so much. Let's go and have our dinner. I heard that the Zetian Palace has increased the food expenses of our spiritual medicine division quite a bit. There'll definitely be good food for dinner. If we're late, there won't be any. I'm not afraid. Would I still have to worry about not being able to have the best dinner in the spiritual medicine division if I were to follow the Great Deacon? Chapter 12:36. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. The seemingly calm heaven realm was surging with undercurrents. Within 7 days, the eastern heaven realm had added another 6 upright gods, each from a different plane. Unfortunately, these 6 upright gods were all untitled and had no special abilities. Their combat power was also far less than those titled upright gods, and the influence they could have was even less. On the other hand, the Western Divine Realm one with numbers. Shi Yan had used the light raw stone to create more than 50 battle angel old gods. Looking at the 4 great heaven realms, the Western Divine Realm had become the most powerful one. At night, the river of stars gurgled, and the light of the stars rippled. It was so beautiful that it was intoxicating. Shi Yan sat at the highest peak of the Spirit Mountain, watching the streams of Star River flowing around her. Her beautiful eyes were filled with regret. She said faintly, "The power of the demon realm is constantly stirring. It won't be long before their next attack. I don't know if we can resist the next time." "We can definitely." Lao Hua sat at the side, putting down the recast longsword. "Is Xin back?" "Not yet. After all, Xin and Shao Shi are the righteous gods of the Eastern Heaven Realm. We can't keep them in the Western Divine Realm. The gods in the Eastern Heaven Realm are desolate. They need their power even more." Shi Yan looked up at the starry sky and said, "Eva, I feel a strong force surging in the demon realm. Their next attack will be no small matter. We have to be on guard." "Sister, the Western Divine Realm will definitely go all out." Shi Yan nodded and didn't say much. She just let the power of the moon flow through her fingertips. She was the moon goddess. After her promotion, her strength had increased several times. The source of her power was the power of the moon. As long as she used the power of the moon well, she might have a chance to turn the tide. At this moment, it was also nighttime in the Eternal Sword Domain. Cold winds rustled, and the forest behind the bright sword forest was desolate and cold. The roars of the crypt fiends as they hunted for food could be heard from afar. However, to the 2 experts, these roars were like the cries of birds, and did not pose any threat at all. Swoosh, 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 rays of curved sword chi circled around Meng Tiefeng's arm. His face was hidden under the mask as he sneered, "Young hero Lin, I heard that you've defeated Luo Xingji and dismissed the Hunters League. You even forced Luo Xingji to stay in the Bright Sword Forest and learn from him. Is that true?" "It's true." Lin Muyu smiled. "Why, does the Chancellor have any objections?" "Ha, I don't have any objections. It's just that the Eternal Sword Domain has maintained this balance for tens of thousands of years. Now that such a huge change has occurred because of your greed, those hunters who have escaped will definitely wreak havoc everywhere. The entire Eternal Sword Domain will become even more chaotic." "Oh!" Meng Taifeng stood in the wind and said in astonishment, "Hero Lin, you don't intend to dominate the Eternal Sword Domain? As long as I can defeat you, I will dominate. Come on, lad." Meng Taifeng waved his sleeves and attacked with a strong gust of wind. The overwhelming sword chi surged towards him like rain. Indeed, in a short 7 days, the power of Meng Tiefeng's sword domain had increased to another level. This person was truly talented. Lin Muyu also flew forward. She raised a finger and thousands of swords shot out. The sword domain of the proud sword technique became stronger and stronger. In addition to the power of holy martial arts, her strength was already above Meng Tiefeng's. Clang, clang, clang. In the air, dense sparks flew. Rays of sword chi made clear sounds as if they were real weapons colliding. Moreover, it was thousands of long swords colliding at the same time. The aura was like a raging torrent. However, Meng Tiefeng's years of cultivation were obviously more experienced. He was actually able to control wisps of sword chi to launch additional attacks. Clang! Lin Muyu's Xianyuan sword was unsheathed. It shone brightly and slashed in the air. Rays of golden sword chi shattered Meng Tiefeng's sword domain. On the ground, rubble flew everywhere. The light was terrifying. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Elder Tiannan, Ria, Zhang Wei, and the others narrowed their eyes as they watched the battle. Their faces were filled with solemnity. These 2 people are the 2 strongest people in the Eternal Sword Domain, right? Ru Yen asked cautiously, afraid that she would hurt her master's pride. Elder Tiannan laughed. That's right. In terms of strength, there is no third person who can compete with them. One is the talented Lord of the City of Dawn, the other is the martial god chosen by the heavens. These 2 people would be a disaster in any world. Now that they have appeared together in the Eternal Sword Domain, It is a great misfortune for the eternal sword domain. Ria pouted. Senior, Master is a good person. Meng Taifeng is also a good person. Why is it a great misfortune? A battle between two extremely strong people is naturally a great misfortune for the world. Old man Tiannan stroked his beard and said, Tonight, a winner will be decided. Who will win? Zhang Wei asked. I don't know. Elder Tiannan shook his head and smiled. Perhaps it depends on who is smarter. Bang bang bang. 2.5 kilometers away, the whirlwind created by their battle exploded in the air. The shockwaves swept across the plains. Even the crypt demons were frightened and fled. In the air, Lin Muyu and Meng Tiefeng's auras were still steady. The battle between the sword domain had turned into a clash of swords. After dozens of exchanges, the Xianyuan sword and the black sword had suppressed each other. Sizzle, sizzle, the surface of the black sword glowed. Meng Taifeng knew that he could not hold on for much longer. The reaction of the black sword was just a warning. On the other hand, Lin Muyu seemed to be at ease. This made Meng Taifeng feel humiliated. As the Lord of the City of Dawn, the king of the Eternal Sword Domain, was he going to lose to this young junior? It was another heavy and powerful strike. Strands of sword will surrounded the blade. In a battle between two peak experts, every strike was not simple. It was a strike that could split the mountains and split the earth. Lin Muyu could see that Meng Tiefeng's aura had begun to become chaotic. This strike had almost used up all of his strength. Therefore, she did not say much. She gripped the Xianyuan sword tightly with both hands, activated the proud sword technique, and swept out. Bang! The two swords collided. Light shot up into the sky. A piercingly cold airflow swept out, causing the hair and cloaks of the two to dance wildly. At the moment when the swords collided, Lin Muyu felt that Meng Tiefeng's strike was not simple. There was an endless stream of sword will surging in the blade. This strike that seemed to have stopped was actually still in progress. Waves of sword will turned into domain power and blasted into the Xianyuan sword. Lin Muyu looked up at Meng Taifeng, only to find that Meng Tiefeng's eyes were a little proud. He lowered his arms slightly, and the proud sword technique surged out. Strands of sword will raged out and wrapped around the two like waves. Lin Muyu's strength was at least 20% stronger. For a moment, Meng Taifeng felt a sense of suffocation. When his aura was almost unable to continue, Lin Muyu pulled out her left palm and gently aimed at Meng Tiefeng's face. Samsara. The surrounding aura was almost sucked dry in an instant. Meng Taifeng suddenly froze at this moment. Images of the past kept flying in his mind. Those days of war, the days when he lost his family, the screams of his wife, the wails of his children, and the tragic scene when his entire clan was exterminated emerged one by one. Then there was the scene of falling leaves and flying flowers. Everything returned to the original, dust to dust and dust to dust. And he was just a wisp of dust and an aura in the vast thousand worlds. The enlightenment brought about by samsara made Meng Taifeng unable to move. At this moment, he realized how terrifying Lin Muyu's cultivation and state of mind were. This young man was not as simple as he had imagined. But at this moment, Lin Muyu was holding the sword with one hand. Obviously, she could not compete with the black sword in terms of strength. Clang! With a crisp sound, the Xianyuan sword flew out of his hand, flipped through the air, and fell into the dark forest, piercing straight into the rocks. At the same time, Lin Muyu's body was hit by the power of the eternal sword domain. She retreated again and again, looking a little embarrassed. She turned around and stood still in the strong wind. With a slightly shocked expression, she cupped her hands and said, "City Lord, I've lost." Meng Taifeng did not feel the slightest joy of victory. Instead, he was extremely shocked. He said, "This battle is not about who won or lost, but I wonder if Lord Martial God would mind making friends with me, Meng Taifeng, from the Eternal Sword Domain? A sinner whose entire clan was exterminated, who was exiled, and whose hands are stained with blood." Lin Muyu smiled. "City Lord, I don't mind if you don't mind me looking down on you." Good, good, good. Ha. Meng Taifeng looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. It's enough to have a confidant in life. I never thought that I, Meng Taifeng, would have a close friend here. Martial God, I admire your magnanimity and magnanimity. Why don't you bring your friend to Dawn City as a guest? I will treat you with great hospitality. What do you think? Ah. Lin Muyu was a little hesitant. Behind her, Elder Tian Nen smiled. Lord Martial God, since City Lord Meng has invited you with great hospitality, let's go. Leah asked loudly, City Lord, do you have good food in Dawn City? Yes, we have everything. Meng Taifeng laughed. Leah said, Master, take me with you. Lin Muyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Then I'll have to trouble you, City Lord. When is the best time to go? There's no time like the present. Come to Dawn City now and stay for a few days. I can also let martial gods study the ancient martial arts in Sky Feather Grotto. Oh, Sky Feather Grotto? Ancient martial arts? That's right. How else do you think I mastered the Eternal Sword Realm? At this moment, Lin Muyu was tempted. A person who mastered martial arts would definitely be proficient in all kinds of martial arts. At the very least, he would have to understand them. It was necessary to go to Dawn City to take a look. Alright, let's go now. Haha, that's great. Let's go. Lin Muyu pulled out the Xinyuan sword from the air and left with Ria, Chang Wei, Shirhan, Ru Yen, and the others who wanted to go with her. Chapter 1237. As dawn approached, rays of light shone from the eastern horizon, piercing through the clouds and onto the land. Just like the rays of light, the city stood tall in the middle of the mountain range. It was bright and golden, and the flag of the City of Dawn fluttered in the air. It was incomparably prosperous, far surpassing the scale and prosperity of the other cities in the Eternal Sword domain. In this barren plain, the City of Dawn was simply a spectacle. With one hand behind his back, Meng Taifeng flew in the air against the wind. Suddenly he raised his left hand and took off his mask, revealing the determined face of a middle-aged man. Just as Lin Muyu had predicted, Meng Tiefeng's appearance was a reflection of the heart. Meng Taifeng was a straightforward person with a heroic spirit. Here, this is my City of Dawn. Meng Taifeng smiled proudly. A city that took tens of thousands of years to build. It can accommodate millions of people. I have established laws and an army to govern the entire City of Dawn. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. City Lord, you are doing this to benefit the people. If I were the City Lord, I would expand my territory and build more City of Dawn. I would rule over the entire City of Dawn. That would be difficult. Meng Taifeng shook his head. Those who are exiled to the Eternal Sword domain are not easy to deal with. Which one of them is not an expert with hands stained with blood? These people do not submit to the rule, and they do things their own way. I have tried a few times, but I have always failed. That's true. Lin Muyu did not say anything else. She followed Meng Taifeng to the City Lord's mansion. As expected, it was a splendid palace. As the symbol of the highest power in the Eternal Sword domain, Meng Tiefeng's residence was naturally very luxurious. After stepping onto the steps of the palace, the guards on both sides knelt down and said in unison, Greetings, City Lord. Lin Muyu was speechless. This was what it felt like to be an emperor. The guard rubbed his nose resentfully. City Lord, don't tell me you have a harem of 3,000 beauties here? Harem of beauties? Meng Taifeng seemed to feel insulted. He raised his eyebrows. How dare you speak of me like that? Or you? Under Meng Tiefeng's awe-inspiring aura, the guard trembled and could not say a word. On the contrary, Ria was pure and naive and was not afraid of Meng Taifeng at all. She smiled and said, He is a man with a very tough life. Meng Taifeng glanced at Lin Muyu and said, Martial God, what kind of people are following you? Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. I met her on the way. Mayor, do you have a harem of beauties? No. Meng Taifeng also rubbed his nose and said, I've already abstained from women for tens of thousands of years. Shirhan and Ru Yen were silent and did not say anything. Just like that, the group of people entered the main hall and received Meng Tiefeng's hospitality. It was just as Meng Taifeng had said, the City of Dawn was very rich. There was food and drinks everywhere, and there was enough for them to eat. Leah stuffed herself with food until her stomach was full. If it wasn't for Lin Muyu's advice, she might have eaten a donkey. In the afternoon, Ria and the others stayed in the guest rooms to rest. Lin Muyu and Meng Taifeng entered the Sky Feather Grotto. The grotto was under the mayor's residence. Meng Taifeng personally held a torch and passed through layers of mechanisms before arriving in front of a stone wall. Lin Muyu stood still and extended her spirit sense. She took a deep breath and said, "There is a very vast and profound aura behind this stone wall. The Sky Feather Grotto must be behind this." Meng Taifeng smiled slightly and said, "Martial God, please follow me." After pushing open a secret door, a rotten smell suddenly entered her nose. Lin Muyu could not help but frown and hold her breath. "My apologies." Meng Taifeng smiled. "The last time I entered the Sky Feather Grotto was more than 20 years ago. This is a secret room. Aside from me, no one else has the right to enter. City Lord is too polite." Lin Muyu gently raised her hand. Suddenly, a sky dragon crystal condensed in her palm. Light radiated in all directions, illuminating everything in the Sky Feather Grotto. Although this place was rotten, the surrounding walls were engraved with lines of text. Most of them were ancient characters that Lin Muyu could recognize. After all, she had studied Fushi's heavenly book, so it was not a big deal for her to recognize these characters. Meng Taifeng put his hands behind his back and walked side by side with Lin Muyu. He sighed and said, "Many years ago, there were 9 other peerless experts who were as famous as me. We discovered the Sky Feather Grotto together, but we all wanted it for ourselves. In the end, we decided to have a martial arts competition. The final winner would control the Sky Feather Grotto. It was also that battle that I obtained the Sky Feather Grotto. 4 experts died under my sword. Martial God, do you feel ashamed?" Lin Muyu smiled. Meng Tiefeng's hair stood on end. "What do you mean by smiling?" Lin Muyu said, "There are not many good people who are exiled to the Eternal Sword Domain to begin with. Isn't it normal for them to kill each other? City Lord, do you think you are a good person?" "Not really, but I'm not a bad person either." Where is the martial arts manual that records the Eternal Sword Domain?" "Young hero, please follow me." Meng Taifeng walked in front and entered the depths of the grotto. An extremely smooth and neat stone wall appeared in front of them. It was densely packed with small characters. Meng Taifeng said, "Here, this is the Eternal Sword Domain. It is an absolute art that I have painstakingly practiced for many years." "Oh," Lin Muyu raised her head to look at the characters. After silently scanning through them, she turned and left. "What's wrong, Martial God? Are you done reading it?" Meng Taifeng was stunned. Could it be that Martial God doesn't practice the Eternal Sword Domain? "I don't." Lin Muyu smiled. "I have already comprehended the AO sword technique. It would be a waste of time to learn the Eternal Sword Domain. I just need to learn one of the same power. What do you think, City Lord?" Meng Taifeng smiled awkwardly. "That's true. The Martial God's state of mind is much better than mine. After entering the Heaven Feather Grotto, I almost fell into madness and forgot the principle of biting off more than I can chew." Lin Muyu continued to walk through the Heaven Feather Grotto with the Celestial Dragon Crystal. Soon, she stood in front of a stone wall and said, "Dao Heart Technique?" "Yes, Dao Heart Technique." Meng Taifeng shook his head. "This technique is not very useful. Although I have seen it, I have not practiced it." Lin Muyu could not help but smile. She raised her head and recited the Dao Heart Technique 3 times in a row. She said, "I have memorized it." Meng Taifeng was stunned. "You have memorized it so quickly? Is the Martial God going to practice the Dao Heart Technique? I can practice it when I have nothing to do." Lin Muyu raised the Celestial Dragon Crystal and continued to walk through the grotto. Soon, she stood in front of a stone wall. There was a paragraph of text on this stone wall. On it were the words, "Light Hunting Technique." Meng Taifeng also stood at the side and said, "Absolute power will always be above speed. This light hunting technique is a record of speed. The Lord Martial God does not need to practice it. It is a real waste of time." Lin Muyu said, "Yes, I will write it down for Leah to practice." Absolute speed can even kill light. This is the martial art that she needs the most. Lord Martial God really dotes on this disciple. Of course. I only have this one disciple. How can I not dote on her? Haha, don't tell me you have taken a fancy to your disciple? How could that be? What are you thinking? I only need Leah's power. I need her to help me return to the immortal realm and fight against strong enemies. Leah is talented and has a strong learning ability. If she can master absolute speed, coupled with the stellar technique that I have imparted to her, Leah will almost be able to hold her own. As she spoke, Lin Muyu looked at Meng Taifeng and said, City Lord, do you want to leave the Eternal Sword domain and see the outside world? Can I? This place is a huge cage. Master will show me the way out. Who is Lord Martial God's master? How can he have such magical powers? Fuxi. So it is the three great ancestral gods. Meng Taifeng smiled and said, Forget it. I will stay in the Eternal Sword domain. The outside world is no longer suitable for my old bones. Besides, the Eternal Sword domain needs my strength to maintain its stability. That's right. Go out. Finished reading? Yes. Lin Muyu had only taken a few steps when she suddenly stopped and said, City Lord, if I may be so bold as to ask you a favor. If you are willing to help, I will be eternally grateful. You first. Have you heard of the God Gems? Does what? I need the God Gems. The more the better. Does Dawn City have them? This. Meng Taifeng hesitated for a few seconds, then looked up and said, The God Gems are precious treasures in the Eternal Sword domain. They can prolong one's life. But since the Martial God is my friend, I can't just sit back and do nothing. There are about 150 God Gems in the treasury of Dawn City that I have collected over the years. If you don't mind, I can give them all to you. So many? Lin Muyu was stunned. How can I accept that? You are my only friend. Meng Tiefeng's eyes dimmed. Do you know how important the word friend is? You are the only friend I have in my life. For a friend, what else can I give? Lin Muyu nodded. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. You are welcome. Let's go have a drink. But it was night time again. The moonlight shone on a courtyard in Dawn City. Lin Muyu sat on the stone bed and silently recited the Tao Heart Sutra to ease the manic feeling brought about by the AO sword skill. The effect was surprisingly good. She was ecstatic and could not help but feel a burst of manic feeling. In front of her, leaves were falling from a maple tree. Swoosh, a figure passed by. Ria held the maple leaves in her hand and placed them neatly in a bamboo basket beside her. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and said, Too slow. It is easy to chase the wind, but difficult to chase the sound. You can only chase the wind, but you can't even catch the sound. Chase the sound first, then catch the shadow. Yes, master. Ria pouted, feeling wronged, but she continued to train even harder. Chapter 12:38. In September, the weather was getting hotter and hotter, and the whole Lanyan city seemed to be in a fire cage. The alchemists in the spiritual medicine department had taken off their thick robes and put on cool gauze dresses. Even Chu Yao, the Grand Deacon, was no exception. Chu Yao, who was wearing a beige dress, looked extraordinarily beautiful and elegant. A group of male alchemists secretly admired her, but they could only admire her because Chu Yao's identity and status were beyond their reach. Early in the morning, in the flower garden, Chu Yao sat sullenly on a bench. Lan Yen came over with a teacup and said respectfully, Grand Deacon, it's Feng Zhanlin and Nangong Lai's turn to be on duty today. You can take a little rest. Why do you look so sullen? Am I? Chu Yao looked up with a smile, then lowered her head and said, Lan Yen, I had a dream last night. What did you dream about? I dreamed. Chu Yao was a little hesitant. After a long while, she moved her red lips and said, I dreamed that you was pressed under a mountain with blood all over his body. I dreamed that Feng Jixing was seriously injured and unconscious. I dreamed that countless stars and towers rolled down from the sky. I dreamed that everything between heaven and earth had collapsed. Are these real? Dreams are just thoughts and worries. They may not come true. Don't worry too much, Grand Deacon. Is that so? Chu Yao was still sullen. Then she reached out to hold the teacup, but at the moment she lifted the teacup, her fingers were plated with a faint layer of golden light, burning the teacup red. Ah, what's wrong? Lan Yen was shocked. Chu Yao frowned slightly. She knew what had happened. A strong force was pouring into her body, and her mind became clearer. Her whole person seemed to have undergone a qualitative leap. She could not help trembling and said, Lan Yen, I may have to leave. What's wrong, Grand Deacon? Don't scare me. It's nothing. I just sensed the summons of the Mahayana Heavenly Tao. I'm going to the heaven realm. In the air, layers of golden scrolls were unfurled. They were the heavenly melody scrolls, and the names on them were faintly discernible. Chu Yao's name was also among them, and it was very conspicuous. Not long after, Feng Zhanlin and Nangong Lai rushed in from the outer hall. The two of them were dumbfounded, and almost at the same time, they said, Deacon Chu Yao, are you ascending? Then we. Nangong Lai was at a loss. Chu Yao said, please lead the Dragon League and stay here, waiting for the opportunity to ascend to the Mahayana realm. Yes. In the air, the Dharma body of Goddess Nviwa appeared and looked at Chu Yao with a kind gaze. She said, Chu Yao, you are kind and love all living things. Now that you have been recognized by the heavenly melody scrolls, you will be granted the Dharma body of an intermediate deity and the title Goddess of Prophecy. You will also be granted the power of a true deity, foresight. May you inherit the Mahayana Heavenly Tao and cultivate well. Thank you, Supreme Deity. Chu Yao's body seemed to be pulled as she slowly flew into the sky. Although the gate of heaven could not be seen, her body quickly dissipated, turning into pink petals that scattered in the air. Grand Deacon. Lan Yen looked at the sky blankly and murmured, Are you gone? There was no response from the sky. Chu Yao had already left for the heaven realm. Swoosh! A strong light shone on the hall of great accomplishment. Chu Yao's ascension had attracted everyone's attention. The surrounding deities knelt on one knee to show their respect. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi smiled and walked forward. Sister Chu Yao. The petals swirled around her. Chu Yao slowly opened her eyes. Her body shone faintly and she smiled. Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, long time no see. Is this the Eastern Heaven realm? Not far away, Xiao walked over and smiled. Congratulations, Miss Chu Yao, for obtaining the title of Goddess of Prophecy. Welcome to the Eastern Celestial Realm. Chu Yao bowed respectfully. Greetings, Fairy Xiao. Xiao smiled. Chu Yao, you are the Goddess of Prophecy. You have obtained the power of a true deity from the Mahayana Heavenly Tao. Can you really predict the future? Did you see anything? I saw some. Chu Yao bit her red lips and said, I saw some bad things. These days I have been dreaming almost every day. I dreamed that you and Brother Feng were injured. I dreamed that the gods fell again. I dreamed that the heavenly might fell from the sky. But I don't know if these are the prophecies of the Goddess of Prophecy. If they are, then it's too bad. Yao's expression turned cold as she said, if that's really the case, then something might really happen. In fact, I've been feeling uneasy these past few days, feeling that something big is about to happen. The demon domain has been calm for many days now, and no one knows what's happening in the demon domain, nor do they know what they're planning. Ayu hasn't returned yet, so everything is still uncertain. Where did you go? Eternal Sword Domain, a very far place. You went to seek the strongest power. Oh, that stinking brat as a martial god, he isn't in the god realm. If he doesn't even participate in the war of gods and demons, then he has neglected his duty as a martial god. Xiao looked at the crowd with clear eyes and said, the invasion of the demon realm is imminent. I hope everyone can cultivate well. Don't let down our responsibilities as righteous gods. Don't let down the worship and prayers of the common people in the god realm. Yes, Fairy Xiao. At night, the starry sky of the god realm was very dark. Chu Yao stood at the peak of a spirit mountain, towering like a statue. Streams of starry water flowed around her, carrying with them the spiritual energy that the people of the divine world needed. Spiritual energy was the most basic nourishment for gods. Without spiritual energy, it was like a fish leaving the water or a person leaving the air. The source of spiritual energy came from the spirit mountains in the sky, as well as the streams of starry water flowing in the wind. Suddenly, Chu Yao opened her eyes and clenched her fists. "They're here." "Yao, what's here?" Feng Jixing asked. "The people of the demon realm." Chu Yao bit her red lips and said, "A lot of people are here. There's a person holding a pagoda and an old man. Both of them are very powerful." Feng Jixing, swoosh. A ray of spiritual light fell and condensed into the figure of Ziyao. She asked, "Fairy Chu Yao, what do you see?" "The army of the demon realm has rushed out of the exit of the chaos realm and is coming in our direction." Chu Yao closed her eyes. Her vision penetrated the plane and looked at the army of the demon realm. She said, "There are too many of them. They also brought a huge red cauldron. There's a burning red liquid inside. I don't know what it is." Ziyao's eyes were cold. She said to the righteous god with thick eyebrows, "Dragon sequence, immediately send a warning. The Eastern Divine Realm will immediately enter a state of war. The demon realm is attacking." Although he was an untitled lower god of the third tier, he was at least a Mahayana god of the heavenly Tao. His strength was much stronger than those useless gods. It was just that such an untitled righteous god didn't have any special divine power. Once he encountered an attack from the devil realm, he might not even be able to withstand the frenzied attacks of a group of devil luos. At this moment, Chu Yao was still looking at the army of Mara in the distance. Suddenly, Ziyen, who was riding on the back of the demonic tiger, looked up at the sky. He seemed to have sensed something. The corner of his mouth rose, revealing a sinister smile. Chu Yao took a few steps back. She opened her beautiful eyes, and her face was pale. "What's wrong, Yao?" Feng Jixing asked. He saw me. Chu Yao bit her red lips and said, "The Lord of the Demon Realm." Feng Jixing gritted his teeth, raised the crimson phoenix saber, and said, "Fairy Ziyao, I'm going to guard the Hall of Great Accomplishment." But no one could sleep in this late night. The invasion of the demon realm was imminent. Almost everyone began to prepare for a showdown. After a full 2 hours, dark clouds rolled over from the western horizon, and blood-red thunderbolts descended from the sky. The dark mass of the evil Luo army blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they rushed over. What should come had finally come. "Don't let them land!" Sun Feng shouted. "Got it." Feng Jixing flew up proudly and stood in the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. He raised his palms, and a whirlwind danced around him. Suddenly, tornadoes appeared in the distant sky, and they swept across with azure lightning. Feng Jixing's power of controlling the wind produced dimensional storms with shocking destructive power. For a moment, the screams of Mara's army were continuous. There were even 2 demon generals who couldn't dodge in time and were swallowed by the violent winds. "What a powerful wind god!" Sun Feng said with a stern gaze. Ziyao bit her red lips and looked back at the path paved by the North Tianlun. She said, "Demon Emperor, come back quickly. Hurry!" In the sky, the demonic flames surged and pressed down. Roar! A huge demonic tiger stepped on the air. It was Ziyan's mount. At this moment, Ziyan was sitting on the back of the demonic tiger. He held the glowing god-destroying pagoda in his hand and smiled faintly. "I heard that your heavenly melody scroll has conferred another wind god? It's you, right?" Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows. He knew that his strength was far from Ziyan's, but he mustn't be crushed in terms of aura. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have a chance to fight. Clang! The azure dragon saber was unsheathed. Feng Jixing's figure suddenly spun, and he slashed out as if he was tearing the sky apart. A crazy storm swept out and went straight for Ziyan. Facing Feng Jixing's fierce attack, Ziyan stood there motionlessly. He didn't take out the god-destroying pagoda, and he didn't move at all. However, a figure gradually condensed in front of him. It was an old man with a pale face. Although he looked old, he was wearing a full set of hideous armor. It was the 9 Underworlds Demon King. Boom! The 9 Underworlds Demon King raised his arm and easily dispersed Feng Jixing's saber wind. He smiled and said, "Is this all the righteous god of the later generations can do? Lord Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, do you have any orders?" Ziyan smiled faintly and said, "No orders. The only order is, kill wantonly. Everyone here deserves to die." Swoosh! The 9 Underworlds Demon King's figure flashed and appeared in front of Feng Jixing in the next moment. His crooked fingers swept down like an eagle's claw, bringing with it an intense demonic flame. Bang! How could Feng Jixing block it? His body shot through the hull of great accomplishment like a cannonball. Chapter 1239. As the wind raged, more than 1/3 of the Hall of Great Accomplishment was turned into dust. Feng Jixing was lying in the rubble. He was severely injured after just one attack. This man was so powerful that it was beyond imagination. Without waiting for Xiao to say anything, 2 figures flew over and a dazzling sword light blasted towards the back of the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch. Apart from Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, perhaps no one else would have the guts to do so. Good. The 9th Serenity Demon King laughed wildly. He suddenly shook his arms, and the demonic flame behind him surged. Instantly, it solidified into a blood-red rock layer. Everyone was shocked. Was this crazy old man planning to use this layer to block the double attack from the goddess of grace and the god of love? The power of order and the fire of destruction burst out hundreds of sword lights and attacked the 9th Serenity Demon King's back. Boom, boom, boom. The air was shaking and the fire shot up to the sky. Qin Yin's light and Tang Xiaoxi's fire were very hot. They almost swallowed the 9th Serenity Demon King's body in an instant. However, the strong air waves made them step back, and they couldn't stand still in the air anymore. Demon Realm. In the air, Bai Feng and the Holy King were stunned. They were very nervous. The 9th Serenity Demon King couldn't be killed by the 2 goddesses so easily, could he? As the flames dissipated, everyone was not disappointed. A figure emerged from the flames, and it was the 9th Hell Demonic Monarch. The armor on his body had already been melted by the divine power of the 2 goddesses, revealing his powerful muscles. There was an insufferably arrogant smile on his face as he laughed loudly. "Graceful goddess Qin Yin, love goddess Tang Xiaoxi? Looks like you are no match for me. Get out of here. I don't want to kill such cute girls. Get out of here." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at each other with their swords in their hands. They could see the worry in each other's eyes. This time, the demon realm was not a small matter. Just the 9 Underworlds Demon King alone was already impressive. Moreover, there was also Ziyan who had the god-destroying pagoda, which was even more difficult to deal with. Right at this moment, a cool breeze blew past their ears, bringing with it Chu-Chu's words, "Highness Yin, Princess Shi, this old man will help you to restrain the 9 Nether Demon King, but I can only restrain him for a short while. Please use your strongest power immediately. Whether or not you can defeat the 9 Nether Demon King will depend on this attack." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi nodded at the same time. Divine power surged in their bodies. Qin Yin's East Flower sword shone brightly. Her strongest attack was very simple. It was the 7th attack of Shi Yan's 7 slashes, which was supported by the power of order, slaying God. Tang Xiaoxi, on the other hand, had a faint smile on her face. She had already entered the state of the demon god, and her palms were filled with flame-breaking fire. "What are you 2 children waiting for? Why don't you scram?" The 9 Serenities Demon Monarch laughed. "Could it be that you want to be this old man's wife?" Before he could finish laughing, a patch of green suddenly appeared in the air. Vines spun rapidly in the air, and even small white flowers grew on his body. "What is this?" the 9 Nether Demon King said coldly. He raised his palms and saw strands of grass seeping out from his blood vessels. It was really a little scary. Petty tricks. Deceitful tricks. The 9 Nether Demon King roared. Immediately, The demonic flames around him started to burn the vines that covered the sky. However, the vines were supported by Chu-Chu's divine power. They didn't stop burning. Instead, they became tighter and tighter on the 9 Nether Demon King's limbs, making him unable to move. Now, the avatar in the air appeared behind the 9 Nether Demon King. It was like a huge tree hugging the 9 Nether Demon King. This was a rare opportunity. If they missed it, it would be difficult to kill the 9 Nether Demon King again. Whoosh! A sword light fell from the sky. It was Qin Yin's slaying god. Tang Xiaoxi attacked from the side. The flame-breaking fire swallowed the 9 Nether Demon King's body like a river. Boom, 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 boom. A series of piercingly cold explosions rang out continuously, and the powerful airwaves from the domain forced Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to retreat. Chu-Chu had already escaped at the first possible moment. Amidst the continuous explosions brought about by the god-slaying strike, everyone could even hear the miserable howls of the demon monarch of the netherworld. 9 Nether. Bai Feng gritted her teeth. But, are you worried about him? Ziyan asked with a smile. Bai Feng shook her head. I'm just worried that the demon realm will lose a powerful expert. If the 9 Nether Demon King is killed like this, then he doesn't deserve to be the first vanguard of the demon realm. It's better to die than to live in shame. A group of saint kings and demon generals of the demon world stared at him. Everyone had their own thoughts. Originally, the 9 underworld demon kings' return to the world was bound to cause a dispute in the demon world. But if he died here, then the throne of the demon world lord would really be firmly held by that despicable person Ziyan. Under the suspicious gazes of the crowd, a man stood up in a sorry state amidst the light and flames. His body had been burnt to the point that it was not complete. His whole body was charred black, revealing pieces of bright red flesh. However, these exposed wounds were wriggling and healing rapidly, showing the astonishing vitality of the owner. The 9 Nether Demon King clenched his fists. His body was covered in demonic flames. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Your attacks can only damage my body, but not my bones. Come, since you want to die, then I will fulfill your wish. I will send you to the purgatory of reincarnation. As expected, he's not dead, Ziyan sneered. Don't let the 9 Nether Demon King be alone. All demon gods of the demon realm, charge. Flatten the Hall of Great Accomplishment and destroy this so-called Eastern God realm. Jia. In the sky, the Devil Luo army let out a low roar. Countless devil generals wielding long blades, iron spears, giant shields, sharp swords, riding on demon tigers, demon deer, giant elephants, and other mounts descended from the sky one after another. They led the Devil Luo army and began to attack those crippled gods who were guarding the various spirit mountains. Their strength was originally not on the same level. Now that they did not have Lin Muyu's holy martial power, the situation in the Eastern Heaven realm was already extremely critical. Zi Yao frowned. At this moment, she had no choice but to fight. The power of balance surged in her palm. Suddenly, heaven and earth turned upside down. Countless Mara crashed into the spirit mountain. Ziyao raised her sword and soared into the sky. Together with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, the 3 goddesses besieged the 9 Nether Demon King. Every palm of the 9 Nether Demon King was extremely powerful and overbearing. The 3 goddesses had no choice but to deal with it carefully. Feng Jixing crawled out from the rubble and sat on the broken roof. Panting heavily, he suddenly stabbed his saber into the ground and stood up. His palms were perfectly round, and gusts of wind force once again wreaked havoc in the air, attacking and killing. Other than that, the 6 great untitled righteous gods, who were led by Long Su, also rushed up to the clouds and fought with Imo Luo and the demon generals. The entire East Heavens quickly became a purgatory on earth. Zi Yen descended from the sky, and the god-destroying pagoda descended. It directly enveloped the body of a righteous god. In an instant, his body disappeared into thin air. The power of the god-destroying pagoda became even more domineering. B*****. Long Su roared angrily. His long blade carried the majestic power of the earth and slashed toward Ziyan. Heh, can a Mahayana heavenly Tao god be so weak? Ziyan laughed loudly. With just a light punch, he broke Long Su's long saber with a kacha sound. Then he followed up with another punch, directly penetrating Long Su's abdomen. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere, and it was a tragic sight to behold. Another Mahayana heavenly Tao righteous god had fallen. It seemed, the speed of the heavenly melody scroll's apotheosis was not as fast as the demon realm's killing speed. Kill? Ziyan's eyes were already filled with viciousness. He had completely forgotten his vow to become a good demon. Not far away, a blood-red storm was wreaking havoc in the sky, tearing groups of Mara into pieces. The one who launched it was a beautiful woman. It was the masterpiece of prophecy goddess Chu Yao. She controlled the blood-red prophecy storm to attack. In this kind of chaotic battle, she was very outstanding. However, this also made it easy for her to be targeted by Ziyan. Courting death. Without another word, Ziyan raised his palm lightly, and the god-destroying pagoda appeared. Layers of tarot towers carried the destructive storm and attacked. He shouted, "Prophecy goddess, die!" Chu Yao's delicate body trembled. Her body seemed to be locked, and she couldn't move. "Yao, be careful!" Feng Jixing roared angrily. He rose from the ground and blocked in front of Chu Yao like a sharp arrow. The azure dragon and scarlet phoenix blades were raised horizontally. A thunderous storm blasted out and went straight for the energy of the god-destroying pagoda. Boom! How could Feng Jixing block the god-destroying pagoda? The thunderous storm was instantly destroyed, and a beam of light poured down on him and Chu Yao. It's over, it's over. Feng Jixing's heart was filled with coldness. His body couldn't move, and he couldn't help but wail in his heart. Who could predict the changes of the world? Perhaps even prophecy goddess Chu Yao didn't know that the two of them would die like this. However, at this moment, a figure descended from the sky with a vigorous starry storm. A single strike destroyed the energy of the god-destroying pagoda. His body knelt in the air, and his cloak fluttered. It was the seven luminaries' demon emperor. Only he had the strength to forcefully destroy the attack of the god-destroying pagoda. "It's you again, seven luminaries!" Ziyan roared angrily, and his face was filled with malevolence. "Do you think you can stop me? Come, god-destroying pagoda, destroy this mad god for me." Wang, the god-destroying pagoda let out a piercing whistle, and the entire demon realm turned dark. The energy was almost instantly drained by the god-destroying pagoda. The golden-red flames surged, and the next attack was already locked on to the seven luminaries' demon emperor. "Feng Jixing, Chu Yao, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you leaving? Do you want to stay and die together?" The seven luminaries' demon emperor roared and raised his arm. Pangu's axe glowed resplendently, and the surrounding was surrounded by beams of starry energy. This was the prelude to the seven luminaries' stars' transformation. Feng Jixing turned around and left the sky with Chu Yao. At the same time, he said in a low voice, "Thank you, Demon Emperor." The seven luminaries' demon emperor looked at Ziyan with a frivolous expression and grinned. "The Mahayana heavenly Tao's main god can't die anymore." "Is that so?" Ziyan laughed out loud. "Then you shall die first." Boom! The two beams of light collided, but it was obvious that the god-destroying pagoda had the upper hand. It quickly dissipated the power of the seven luminaries, and the beam of light rained down on the seven luminaries' demon emperor's body like raging flames. In an instant, the seven luminaries' demon emperor's cloth cloak was burned to ashes, and his armor was also burned red. However, the seven luminaries' demon emperor stood there motionlessly, and a pair of cold eyes looked at Ziyan. Instead, he suddenly swung the Pangu axe in his hand. The axe hit the nine luminaries' demon emperor's back. "Io, which bastard sneak attacked me?" The nine luminaries' demon emperor was furious. Then he received another fierce attack from Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. Instantly, his aura became even weaker, and he could only retreat. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The biting cold power of the god-destroying pagoda continuously attacked the 7 luminaries' demon emperor's body, but everyone could see that the 7 luminaries' demon emperor gritted his teeth and endured the strong pain. Golden bone patterns appeared around his body. This was the unyielding bones, the ability of the mad god. Without this unyielding bones, the 7 luminaries' demon emperor would have been killed by the god-destroying pagoda long ago. Are you guys still waiting to watch the show? The 7 luminaries' demon emperor roared, Ziyao, Sun Feng, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, take the eastern celestial realm seeds and leave Mount Deshang. We can't defend this place anymore. Find a new place. If you guys don't die, the eastern celestial realm won't die. Don't worry about me, I'll be here soon. As he spoke, the 7 luminaries' demon emperor reached out and grabbed the pangu axe that was circling back. He shouted in a low voice, "Split the sky, pangu axe." Boom. A huge spatial crack appeared in front of them. This was one of the pangu axe's abilities. It could split open a spatial door. Chapter 1240. Let's go! Under Ziyao's command, Chu Yao, Qin Yin, and the rest flew into the spatial gate. Feng Jixing wielded his dual blades and once again used wind to block the pursuing Mara's army. Hundreds of experts guarding the Hall of Great Accomplishment entered the alternate dimension. Trying to escape? No way. Chase after them. Ziyan roared. Bai Feng, Holy King, and the rest flew down. Who dares to chase after us? The 7 luminaries' demon emperor roared. He raised his left hand, and a storm blasted through the air in front of him. It turned into a blazing river and blocked Bai Feng, Holy King, and the rest. No one dared to cross this river. Otherwise, they would be killed. The might of the mad god 7 luminaries' demon emperor was not just for show. Ziyan smiled sinisterly. 7 luminaries' demon emperor, if you send them off, who will send you off? The 7 luminaries' demon emperor suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. The fighting spirit in his eyes burned even brighter. He held Panga's axe and laughed. There's no need. I come and go as I please. Do you scum think you can keep me here? Is that so? A cold voice came from behind the 7 luminaries' demon emperor. It was the voice of the world destroyer Holy Emperor, one of the 3 holy emperors of the demon world. Swish. An ice blade blasted straight at the 7 luminaries' demon emperor's back. However, the 7 luminaries' demon emperor had already predicted it. He dodged it and stretched out his axe to hook God Destroyer Holy Emperor's extreme frost. He pulled it back and instantly switched places with the World Destroyer Holy Emperor. He laughed and said, "Come, have a taste of the power of the God Destroyer Pagoda." How could the Holy Emperor have thought of such a move? His body was quickly burned into ashes by the God-destroying pagoda. On the other hand, the 7 luminaries' demon emperor disappeared from the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The Holy Emperor's screams reverberated through the air. Finally, when the body of the Holy Emperor of World Annihilation turned into a cloud of smoke, the people of the demon realm were all stunned. The Netherworld Demon King snorted coldly, then lowered his head and rushed into the Hall of Great Accomplishment, as if he didn't want to talk to Ziyan anymore. As for Bai Feng Holy King, he frowned and said, "Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, why didn't you retract the power of the God-exterminating pagoda? With your cultivation, you should be able to control the God-exterminating pagoda. Then, world-exterminating Holy Emperor wouldn't have died." Really? Ziyan smiled faintly. What if I don't want to retract this attack from the God-destroying pagoda? This, Bai Feng, don't forget who you are with. Ziyan laughed coldly. Originally, I only needed to use the God-destroying pagoda for a while to melt violent God's arrogance. That would have been enough to kill him. However, it was that trash, world-exterminating Holy Emperor who interfered and let violent God go. What's the point of keeping such trash alive? Furthermore, if world-exterminating Holy Emperor doesn't die, how can I become the perfect master of the demon realm? As he said that, Ziyan took a deep breath. Instantly, The remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy in the air were sucked into his nose. It was as if he had just eaten a feast, and his face was filled with enjoyment. Devouring and the conversation between the Holy Emperor. It was also through this method that Ziyan became so powerful that he didn't even care about the Demon King of the 9 underworlds. After about an hour, Ziyan had completely absorbed the remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy. He felt even more energized. Looking at Mount Dashang below, he said, "All right, order the Demon Realm's army to use this Mount Dashang as a base and start spreading out to the surrounding spirit mountains. Send out 2-winged Mara to search for the whereabouts of Xiao, Qin Yin, and the rest. We must eradicate the Eastern Celestial Realm." Yes, Ancestor Emperor. The moonlight was as red as blood. On this night, the Eastern Celestial Realm fell. Countless people were killed, and there were at least 20,000 of them. The once prosperous Eastern Celestial Realm was about to be destroyed. At this time, on Mount Buhai, which was an unknown distance away from the Eastern Celestial Realm, several figures landed like flowing lights. Among them were Ziyao, Feng Jixing, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the rest. The remaining gods of the Eastern Celestial Realm were all here. Where is this? Qin Yin asked as she looked at the surrounding forest and fertile land. Ziyao glanced at the northern region Tianluan and said, "Mount Buhai, a barren land located at the border between the Eastern Divine Realm and the Northern Divine Realm. It is very difficult to detect and can be used as a temporary shelter. Let's not talk too much. Let's find a hidden place to stay first. Many people are injured and need treatment. Do we have anyone who is good at medicine?" Chu Yao walked over while holding her injured arm and said, "I worked in the spiritual medicine department when I was in the mortal realm. I know how to treat people." "That's great." Ziyao looked to the east and couldn't help but say, "But I don't know how the Demon Emperor is doing. He's coming." In the air, a group of figures crashed straight into the forest, creating a long ravine. It was the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, who was holding Panga's axe. He slowly stood up and said, "Is this place safe?" "It's still safe." The one who spoke was Nu Shi, the only demon in the Eastern Divine Realm. She blinked her eyes and said very seriously, "The aura around here is very chaotic. It is almost cut off from the outside." The ability of the people in the demon realm to sense auras is far inferior to the Mahayana heavenly Tao. So as long as no one snitches, we are safe here. That's good. This place will be the temporary shelter of the Eastern Celestial Realm. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's eyes were cold. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth again. He said, "Let's go and find a cave to rest in. Chu Yao, help me treat my internal organs." "Yes, Demon Emperor." Everyone's eyes were filled with deep worry. Not only did they lose 2 righteous gods in this battle, even a peerless expert like the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was seriously injured. The demon realm could be said to be like the sun in the sky now. No one in the 4 celestial realms could stop them. One day later, Western Divine Realm, Temple of Light. Shi Yan sat on the Divine King's throne and looked at everyone indifferently. She said, "The Eastern Celestial Realm has been destroyed. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, Xin, Shaoxi, and the other righteous gods have escaped. Their whereabouts are unknown. Tell me, what should we do now? In the past, when the Eastern Divine Realm was still here, we could still join forces to fight against the enemy. Now, only the Western Divine Realm and the Northern Heaven Realm are left." Li Fei said, "Lord Shi Yan, even the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, a first-tier superior god, was defeated. It can be seen how terrifying the power of the demon realm is now. In addition to the increasingly powerful Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, it is said that there is also the 9 underworlds Demon King. This person is an elder of the demon realm and his strength is unfathomable. In the battle at Mount Dashang, the 9 underworlds Demon King fought against Ziyao, Xin, and Shaoxi without being defeated. It can be seen how powerful this person is. If Ziyan orders the demon realm to attack the Western Divine Realm in full force, what are the chances of us winning? I'm afraid we have no chance of winning? Shi Yan smiled bitterly. Eva smiled faintly. I feel that Ziyan will not be in a hurry to attack the Western Divine Realm. Why? Shiyen asked. Eva's blazing angel cloak swayed slightly. She smiled elegantly and said, Ziyan is a despicable, shameless, and narrow-minded person. He will not allow anyone to pose the slightest threat to him. In the battle at Mount Deshang, we clearly saw through the illusory pawn that at least one person could fight against Ziyan's god-destroying tower without dying. That person is the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor. Therefore, what Ziyan wants to do the most now is to find the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor and kill him. I feel that as long as the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor is not found, our Western Divine Realm will be safe. Shiyen said, I can't sense Xin's aura anymore. Perhaps she has gone into hibernation and doesn't want to be discovered. The same goes for Ziyao and Shaoxi. The Eastern gods have entered a state similar to hibernation. They don't want to be found by the demon realm. What can we do now? Find them first, protect them, or other choices? Terralin said, Lady Shiyen, the most important thing we should do now is to excavate and find primordial light stones to create more old gods. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete with the demon realm. Shiyen smiled faintly. How strong do we need to be to compete with the demon realm now? Terralin thought for a while and said, Eva Blazing Angel has comprehended the heavenly way of Mahayana. Together with Lady Shiyen, we may be able to fight against Ziyen and the 9 Serenities Demon King. As for the rest, we need at least 5,000 battle angels to have a 50% chance of winning. But we only have a few dozen old gods now. It's simply a drop in the bucket. Even a 10 million demon realm army can't resist. Shiyen seemed a little tired and asked, How many demon realm armies are there in the Eastern Divine Realm? Li Fei said, About 30 million. Shiyen said faintly, It seems that the fall of the Eastern Divine Realm has become a foregone conclusion. Is there any news of you? He has been cultivating outside for a long time. If he returns, this martial god might be able to reverse the situation. Not yet. Eva shook her head and said, Searching for a new kind of power is a very difficult thing. Even if he was talented, he can't do it in a day. We still need to give him more time and patience. Shiyen pursed her red lips and said, Send 5 battle angels to secretly search for the whereabouts of the Eastern Divine Realm gods. Contact them as soon as possible. If they need help, the Western Divine Realm will definitely go all out. Yes. Eternal Sword Domain. The back mountain of the Bright Sword Forest seemed to be always misty and rainy. Lin Muyu sat on a rock and entered a state of meditation. This state had lasted for an entire day. Beside him, Leah held a green umbrella to shield him from the wind and rain. Leah found that Lin Muyu's cultivation seemed to be regressing. During meditation, he didn't even open up his aura to block the wind and rain. Instead, he let the wind and rain hit him like a stone statue. She bent down to look at Lin Muyu's face worriedly and said, Master hasn't woken up for a day and a night. Could he have become stupid from cultivating? Master, talk to Leah. Lin Muyu still didn't say anything. After a long while, he finally opened his eyes slowly. His mind was clear and clear. He stretched his arms and said, Leah, how long have I been meditating? 1 day and 1 night. Leah pouted and said, Master has been ignoring me all this time. Sorry, I was immersed in my state of mind and didn't hear your voice. Then, has Master's proud sword technique improved? Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, About 70%, soon, Leah wants to see. How do you want to see? The power of the proud sword technique. This, Lin Muyu thought for a while and said with a smile, Watch carefully. He stood up and stared at a mountain peak about 2,000 meters away. His body was majestic and unmoving, but his eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent, as if a sword had swept past. Boom! In the distance, an entire mountain peak suddenly fell horizontally, as if it had been cut diagonally by a sword. Leah opened her mouth and was speechless. Chapter 1241. The sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment was shrouded in thick clouds. This place had been occupied by the demon realm, so the spiritual power here was almost vacuum-like. Mahayana heavenly gods could not cultivate here at all. Kiki. In the sky, groups of Mara wings formed into battle groups that swept across the sky, looking ferocious and twisted. In the clouds, a flame gradually burned, and then a strong figure appeared. It was a man about 25 years old with a long spear in his hand. He had sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes. The tip of the spear was covered in flames, and the power of the Mahayana heavenly gods was dense around him. This man was none other than Zhao Ding, the god of fire who had just ascended half a day ago. He was a second-class superior god. However, this outstanding expert in the lower planes found that things had changed when he came to the heavenly realm. The gods were long gone, replaced by countless Mara wings. Is the Eastern divinity gone? Zhao Ding's eyes dimmed. If even the Eastern divinity is gone, where can I go after ascending here? What kind of god is this? It's no different from a wandering ghost. While he was deep in thought, a strong aura suddenly came. It was a demon general riding a war tiger. This demon general was too close and had already discovered Zhao Ding's existence. He waved his sword and roared with hundreds of Mara wings. There's something strange in this cloud. Tear it apart now. Mara wings turned into a bunch of sharp arrows that pierced through the clouds. In an instant, the clouds were scattered and diluted. Zhao Ding could no longer hide. He stood straight in the air with his spear in hand. What's wrong with the Eastern divinity? What did you bastards do to the Eastern divinity? Kiki, it's actually a fish that escaped the net. The demon general laughed. Looks like you're also a god. Unfortunately, you've come to the wrong place. Mount Great Accomplishment is already the territory of the demon realm. Since you're here to die, don't think about leaving. Little ones, kill them. The Mara wings opened their ferocious mouths and roared as they charged at the god of fire. Courting death. Zhao Ding's gaze turned cold. As his spear swept out, a river of flames appeared, instantly swallowing over 100 of the winged Mara, burning them to ashes and scattering their souls. Motherf asterisk Kerr. The demon general was slightly stunned. Only then did he realize that the person in front of him was not an ordinary upright god, but an upright god with a title and special divine power. Otherwise, he would not be so powerful. After all, he had already seen the power of third-rank inferior upright gods without a title like the dragon sequence. It was just so. However, the person in front of him was completely different. His power was at the same level as Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Feng Jixing. Blow the magic shell and call for reinforcements. The demon general raised his palm and ordered loudly. Not far away, a winged Mara wings puffed out its mouth and blew an ear-piercing sound. Suddenly, purple clouds in the distant sky began to move over. Those were not ordinary clouds, but clouds that contained countless Mara troops. Once the army arrived, no matter how strong Zhao Ding was, he would not be able to fight against them. Where are the gods of the Eastern God realm? Zhao Ding asked in a low voice. I don't know. The demon general roared. You don't know? Zhao Ding shot forward like an arrow, his spear piercing through the demon general's left arm with a poochie sound. With a flick of his wrist, flames sprayed out, directly burning off the demon general's arm. He continued to ask, where did the gods of the Eastern Celestial Realm go? Speak. The demon general's face was pale. I don't know, I'm just a nobody, Zhao Ding's spear swept out, directly cutting the demon general's body from his battle tiger into two. The tip of the spear was filled with the power of dragon fire. It was not something an ordinary person could block. However, at this moment, a series of pa-pa-pa-pa sounds came from behind. It was the prelude to traveling through the plains. In the blink of an eye, a beautiful figure appeared behind him. She was wearing soft silver armor, and her exquisite figure was very alluring. Even the way she walked in the air was so enchanting. It was the most beautiful woman in the demon realm, Holy King Bai Feng. Hee, another soft-skinned god coming to die? Holy King Bai Feng put one hand on her hip and smiled seductively. Who are you? Zhao Ding did not panic. He did not even have the intention to leave. I am Bai Feng, one of the holy kings of the demon realm, a direct subordinate of ancestor Emperor Ziyan. Holy King Bai Feng smiled faintly. And who are you? I'm the newly promoted fire god Zhao Ding. Oh, so it's Lord Fire God. Bai Feng giggled. If I were you, I would immediately escape from this place as fast as possible. This isn't some amusement park. It's not a place where you can come and go as you please. It's fine if I'm here, but if Lord Ancestor Emperor were to come, you would only be crushed to ashes. Is that so? Zhao Ding squinted his eyes and smiled. But this is the Eastern God realm, my future home. Where can I go if I leave this place? Why don't you understand? The smile on Bai Feng's face suddenly disappeared. He unsheathed the sword at his waist and slashed out. Zhao Ding's reaction speed was extremely fast. He raised his long spear to block. Instantly, a peng sound rang out. Zhao Ding had not used his full strength. The two of them were actually evenly matched. However, the endless flames and demonic flames continued to collide, emitting a majestic sound. Under the cover of this sound, Bai Feng looked straight at his opponent and said, "The laws of the world have always been balanced. I don't want the demon realm to be destroyed, nor do I want the god realm to be destroyed. Although Mount Deshang has been conquered, the gods of the Eastern God realm have already escaped. They are hiding in an unknown place. If you are smart enough, hurry up and leave. Don't seek death here. Otherwise, if Ancestor Emperor Ziyan or the 9 Underworlds Demon King comes, you, the fire god, will become history." Zhao Ding was shocked. He pondered for a few seconds and understood Bai Feng's words. He suddenly pulled out his spear and shot it towards Bai Feng Holy King. Suddenly, with a dang, Bai Feng Holy King retreated a few hundred meters. Zhao Ding also flew away from Mount Deshang under the cover of a soaring flame. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Bai Feng Holy King looked at Zhao Ding's direction indifferently. However, at this moment, a figure slowly condensed behind her. It was Ziyan who was holding the god-slaying tower. Immediately, Mara on both sides knelt down and shouted, "Long live the god." Bai Feng Holy King's body trembled, but she didn't say a word. Ziyan sneered and said, "Bai Feng, you seem to be sympathizing with these Mahayana heavenly Tao's main gods?" "I didn't. Ancestor Emperor, please investigate." "You didn't? If you didn't, why did you let this fire god Zhao Ding go?" Bai Feng's body trembled again and said, "I just couldn't bear it. Ancestor Emperor, please give the order. I will immediately bring people to kill this fire god." "No need." Ziyan sneered, "A mere fire god is nothing to be afraid of. In my eyes, there are only 3 people worth mentioning." "Which 3? Berserk god 7 luminaries, moon god Shi Yen, martial god Lin Muyu. In this world, only these 3 people can make me look them in the eye." Ziyan sneered, "It's a pity that Lin Muyu seems to have disappeared suddenly. Shi Yen is hiding in the Western Divine Realm. She must be scared out of her wits. Now, even the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor is hiding. The 6 realms are so boring now." Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, "I'm afraid that the 3 of them are no match for Ancestor Emperor. After all, the god-slaying tower is almost perfect. So, are you worried that I will kill all these main gods and unify this world of light?" Ziyan's eyes were full of provocation, as if Bai Feng would die if he said anything wrong. Bai Feng frowned and suddenly knelt down slowly and said, "Ancestor Emperor, please understand. Bai Feng is only a mere holy king. I have been following Ancestor Emperor since the Fekta Temple. At that time, Ancestor Emperor said that the demon world must take revenge on those gods who represent justice. But now, there are countless gods who have died under the demon world's army. Just the eastern and northern heaven realms alone have more than 100,000 crippled gods. It should be enough, not like now. Now what?" Ziyan raised his eyebrows. Bai Feng murmured, "Now. His Majesty, the Ancestor God Emperor, has not only sent 20 million devil luos to attack the 4 great god realms, but he has also attacked the planes under their jurisdiction. The mortals of tens of thousands of planes have been slaughtered and devoured by the devil Luos, and the situation is indescribably miserable. This is not revenge, but sin. Didn't your majesty, the ancestor god emperor, say that even devils have their own paths? If there is no Tao, where is the future of the demon world? Bai Feng. Ziyan suddenly said sternly, you said so many treasonous words. Do you know that this is a capital crime? I know. Bai Feng knelt there quietly and said, when I said these words, I was already prepared to face death. Ziyan snorted coldly and said, I can tell you that my Tao is to devour and take revenge. I sent many Mara to kill in the mortal world in order to collect more demon qi and evil qi. The stronger the evil qi, the stronger my power. If my Mara can slaughter all the planes under the jurisdiction of the 6 worlds, my power will be enough to fight against the ancestor of the sky beyond heaven, or even surpass him. Don't you want to see the day when the demon world unifies the 3,000 worlds? Bai Feng murmured, if everything is built on killing, what's the use of unifying the worlds? Ha! Ziyan sneered and looked coldly at Bai Feng, the holy king, and said, you disappoint me too much. Weakness will weaken your power. As the saying goes, wolves eat meat when they travel 1,000 miles, dogs eat shit when they travel 1,000 miles. Look at you now. You look so sanctimonious. Do you want to ascend to the Mahayana heavenly Tao? Bai Feng, I won't kill you, but I will keep you alive. I will let you see how I rely on killing and conquering to achieve the Tao of the demon world. I will let you see how I tear those hypocritical righteousness into pieces. Bai Feng. Chapter 1242. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. The invasion and conquest of the demon realm was still ongoing, and the conferment of the Mahayana Heavenly Way Heavenly Sound Scroll was also ongoing. In 2 months, a total of 27 righteous gods appeared. Among them, 7 were righteous gods with titles and special abilities. Wei Chou, titled God of Justice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Lu Kuei, titled God of Contracts, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Carolyn, titled Goddess of Stars, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Western Divine Realm. Han Gu, titled God of Tides, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Te Luo, titled God of Ice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Northern Divine Realm. Xia Yan, titled God of Rain, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Luo Wen, titled God of Thunder, second-tier upper god, belonging to the Southern Divine Realm. Among the 27 new righteous gods, God of Thunder, Goddess of Stars, and God of Rain were the strongest, followed by Wei Chou and Te Luo. Among them, Wei Chou had the ability to punish. However, the new righteous gods couldn't really change the situation of the divine realm. The demon realm was getting stronger and stronger. Ziyan absorbed the evil aura from the massacre, and his strength was getting stronger day by day. Coupled with the increasingly perfect god-destroying tower, there were few righteous gods in the world who could fight against Ziyan. Not a sea or a mountain, evergreen all year round. Swoosh. In the sky, a figure dragged a long trail of clouds as he flew to the ground. At the same time, he was dragging the corpse of a huge goshawk. This goshawk was ridiculously huge, weighing at least 500 kilograms. However, under the righteous god's dragging, it was like carrying a chicken. As the sound of grass being crushed was heard, the person landed on an empty space in the forest and dragged the goshawk to a straw shed in front of them. He said with respect, "Your Highness, I've returned from hunting. This goshawk is very heavy, and it'll be enough for everyone to eat for 3 to 5 days." In the straw shed, Qinin walked out and said with a smile, "Thanks for your hard work, Wei Chou. You don't have to be so polite. You don't have to call me Your Highness anymore." But, Wei Chou said helplessly, "I'm already used to calling you that. I don't know when to call you that. Your Highness, please continue as usual. Before Lin General returns, let me call you that." "All right, I can't do anything to you." Qinin said, "Send Eagle to the kitchen, Let Big Brother Feng and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor take care of it. Many of the trash gods are starving, they urgently need something to eat. Yes, this subordinate understands. Qin Yin also accompanied him over. The so-called kitchen was actually an illegal building under a towering tree. Once they saw Wei Chou dragging the giant eagle over, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor smiled. He put away the knife in his hand and said, Feng Jixing, it's time to get to work. Come over and kill the eagle with me for the meat. God of Tides, Han Gu, summon a stream to wash the meat. Han Gu had a look of helplessness. I'm a god of tides, but this is all I can do. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor glared and said, What are you throwing a tantrum for? I'm the king of the gods of the Eastern God realm, but I'm still here killing chickens for you bastards. Have I ever thrown a tantrum? Since you can't beat them, then just bear with it. Don't throw a tantrum, it's useless. Han Gu was speechless. Yes, your highness, this subordinate will obey your teachings. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor looked to the other side and said, Where's fire god Zhao Ding? Let him come back and start cooking soup. Don't be idle all day. When it's time to work, you still have to work. Yes, Demon Emperor. A person came out from the bushes, holding a spear in one hand and a few dead wild rabbits in the other. He laughed loudly. Look, Demon Emperor, the prey in Mount Buhai is really fat. A wild rabbit weighs over 100 pounds. How is this a fucking wild rabbit? It's more like a wild bull. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor stared and said, Have you ever seen a wild bull that only weighs 100 pounds? That's not a wild bull, that's a calf. You're the most ignorant and unreliable fire god I've ever seen. Don't say anything else, hurry up and boil the water. Yes. A group of people sat around the giant eagle's corpse and began to pluck its feathers. This group of people seemed to be used to this kind of mortal life and were actually enjoying it. None of the goddesses made a move. Qin Yin, Ziyao, and Tang Xiaoxi just gathered their skirts and sat on stone chairs to watch. Ziyao said, Demon Emperor, did you know that the Northern Heaven realm was attacked a few days ago and thousands of useless gods died? I know, it's just a small attack from the demon realm. As long as Zi Yen and the 9 underworlds Demon King don't personally go, they won't be able to take down Blackrock City. We don't have to worry. Looks like... Ziyao pursed her red lips and said, Looks like Zi Yan's attention is still on us. These days, his tens of millions of Mara have almost all been scattered, looking for traces of us all over the world. Will we be discovered here? Don't worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor looked at the sky and said, Do you see that light blue enchantment? That is the starry enchantment that I have painstakingly practiced for many years. Not to mention Mo Luo, even if Zi Yen flies over from the sky, he may not necessarily be able to see us on Mount Sea Mountain, let alone those Mo Luo. In front of the starry enchantment, the Mo Luo army is simply blind. Don't worry, by the way, you must preserve your northern heavenly wheel well. Otherwise, you will still be able to use the northern heavenly wheel to find us, and it will be enough to see through the mystery of the starry enchantment. Yes, the northern sky wheel has always been well hidden. Don't worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said as he plucked his feathers, I don't know how that brat Yu is progressing. If he doesn't come back, we won't be able to counterattack. However, the tens of millions of Mara in the demon world aren't scary. The most scary ones are Zi Yen, 9 Nether, and that god-destroying tower. As long as we destroy these 3 great artifacts, we can return to Mount Deshang and rebuild the order of the Eastern God world. Yes, not far away, Qin Yin moved her red lips and said, Big brother, you will be back soon, I can feel it. That's for the best. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor laughed. After secretly cultivating for so long, that brat must have reached a new level of realm. In addition to the power of the holy martial arts, Yu's position in the god world is really important. And, yes, this eagle is actually a male, it actually has eggs. Demon world, empty space. There was nothing here, not even air. The ground was barren. There were no buildings or mountains. There was only nothingness. It was so nothingness that it made people feel a little flustered. Sha sha. Amidst the sound of footsteps, two figures slowly walked forward. One was Ziyan, and the other was the Netherworld Demon Monarch. Senior 9 Nether, is there really the treasure you mentioned here? Yes. The Netherworld Demon Monarch nodded and said, Your Majesty might not know this, but this is a treasure that all sovereigns want to obtain. Even in the sky beyond heaven, those old things would definitely want to take it for themselves. What kind of treasure is it? Ziyan squinted his eyes and smiled. 9 Nether Demon Emperor also smiled. An invincible army. Army? Ziyan was stunned. Doesn't the demon world already have Mara army? Are tens of millions of devils not enough? You just had to bring me to this plane of nothingness where even birds don't shit. You made me so flustered. 9 Nether Demon Emperor couldn't help but smile. Your Majesty, the Mahayana Heavenly Paths gods are like dumplings being dropped into a pot. Ice God, Contract God, Fire God, and so on are appearing one after another. Does Your Majesty really want to wait until the Mahayana Heavenly Path's laws and gods are all sealed before you realize that the demon world's power is not enough to keep them in check? Only by obtaining this army can we be invincible. Alright, tell me honestly, what kind of army is this? An army of only 100 people. A look of yearning and hope appeared on the Netherworld Demon Monarch's face as he said, This army is invincible and indestructible. Even when facing the ancient god race, they could easily destroy them. Before they were sealed, they were the strongest army in the 6 realms. What kind of army is this? The Protoss army of the ancient demon realm, the ruler, also has another name, the Incubus Gladiators. Each of the 100 Incubus is an outstanding gladiator. Even if they were to face an upper-level god, they wouldn't be a problem. Moreover, among the 100 Incubus, there are 10 extremely tyrannical Incubus vanguards. Every one of them has strength that is second only to a first-class upper god. Oh! Ziyan's eyes turned cold. Aren't these rulers' army invincible? Can they be controlled? If not, I think it's better not to break the seal. Your Majesty, please rest assured. The method to break the seal is a drop of blood from the demon world's lord. Once they break the seal, they will immediately swear loyalty to Your Majesty. What do you get out of this? Ziyan was a smart person. 9 Nether Demon Emperor laughed and said, Of course it's great. After this old man helps Your Majesty conquer the 6 realms, Your Majesty, please promise me that you will be the ruler of the 6 realms. However, the demon world must be handed over to this old man. Your Majesty is the world ruler, and this old man is the demon world ruler. Ah, old man, what a good plan. We're here. The 9 underworlds demon monarch pointed forward. There was a huge iron box. The surface of the iron box was filled with complex runes, he said. The rulers are sealed inside. Your Majesty, please undo the seal. Ziyan stepped on the iron box. His eyes were filled with a faint coldness. 9 Nether, don't play tricks. I don't care how strong these rulers are. If they don't follow my will, I will use the god-destroying pagoda to completely destroy them. Yes, Your Majesty, please rest assured. Ziyan raised his finger. Plop. A drop of blood fell on the iron box. Immediately, the runes on the box shone brightly. Ziyan couldn't help but fly into the air. Boom. The huge iron box exploded. One by one, black figures stood up from the ground. Their eyes had a blood-red luster. Each of them had a cold gaze and killing intent. At the same time, that biting cold power made even Ziyan, the lord of the demon world, feel a great threat. Just like what 9 Nether said, these rulers and nightmare warriors' strength had reached a terrifying level. 9 Nether Demon Emperor's eyes were calm. Come and see your master. The group of nightmare warriors all knelt to Ziyan. Greetings, master. Ziyan laughed so hard that tears almost came out. Good, good, good. This is great. From now on, you are my royal army. If there is an enemy that needs to be eliminated, I will send you. Thank you, master. Let's go. Follow me back to the demon world and wait for my orders. Yes, master. The nightmare warriors flew up one by one, flying into the distance along with the purple flames. Only 10 people were left behind. These 10 people had gloomy eyes. They were the legendary Nightmare Vanguard. Each of them stood there very calmly, like stone statues. 9 Nether Demon Emperors smiled and said in a low voice, "Why aren't you listening and following Master? Remember, who is your true master? Once I give the order, you must kill anyone who dares to do so." "Yes, Master." Chapter 1243. Eternal Sword Domain, Bright Sword Forest. Petals fluttered in the air. The pear trees here had already begun to bear young fruits. In a few more months, they would be full of fruit. Under the pear tree, Lin Muyu and Elder Tiannan brewed the last cup of tea. "Do you really have to leave?" Elder Tiannan was reluctant to part with this junior who was both a disciple and a friend. "Yes, I have to. I don't have much time." Lin Muyu smiled. "Thank you, senior, for taking care of me for so many days. I am eternally grateful." "What are you talking about?" Elder Tiannan was a little sad. At this moment, a whistling sound came from the sky. A person passed through the spatial wall and landed. It was the golden-robed lord of Dawn City, Meng Taifeng. He carried a huge metal box and said, "Martial God, I am here to send you off." Lin Muyu stood up and smiled. "City Lord Meng, you are here too? We are friends. How could I not come?" Meng Taifeng suddenly threw the heavy metal box on the ground. Boom! A cloud of dust flew into the air as he said, "A total of 175 divine gems. Not a single one is missing. I even went to the main altar of the Hunters' Union to plunder some divine gems. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get these 175. Lin Muyu was moved. "You are not keeping any?" "You can have them all." Meng Taifeng was a straightforward person. He smiled. "If you want to be friends with me, that is enough. If you are not doing well in the 6 realms, you can come to the Eternal Sword Domain. We can drink and talk." "What's wrong with that?" "Yes." Lin Muyu put all the radiant primordial gems into her cosmos sack. She then cupped her fists. "It is getting late. I should leave. We will meet again if fate allows it." "Brother, take care," Meng Taifeng said. Elder Tiannan nodded with a smile. "Take care." Lin Muyu signaled with her eyes. She took Ria and Jianghu with her. In the air, a ray of light bloomed. It was a revelation from Fuxi. Lin Muyu looked at the people on the ground. "Farewell, everyone from the Eternal Sword Domain." Shi Han, Ru Yen, and the others bowed and said their goodbyes. Moving like a sword, Lin Muyu's body turned into a beam of cold light that pierced through the spatial wall. Suddenly, a deep passage of time appeared in front of her, leading to the 6 realms. This spatial wall was extremely thick, and it was far more difficult to break through than ordinary spatial cracks. However, Lin Muyu had easily opened it. One could imagine how powerful she was. Even Meng Taifeng, who was in the pear jar, could not help but frown and say, "Is this the power of AO sword tactics? I'm afraid. He's already the strongest person in the world." Old man Tiannan remained silent and did not deny it. In the sky, the 3 streaks of light disappeared into the tunnel. Lin Muyu brought Ria and Jianghu with her, heading straight for the 6 realms. In the blink of an eye, they had left the Eternal Sword Domain where they had stayed for several months. Eastern God Realm, Hall of Great Accomplishment. Ziyan sat on the Divine King's throne. He held onto the God-destroying pagoda and said, "Has everything been arranged?" "Everything has been arranged." Holy King Bai Feng frowned and said, "If we really do this, is your majesty sure that the distress message you created will attract the gods of the Western Divine Realm?" "Of course." Ziyan squinted his eyes and smiled. "All false illusions are but a thought in the mind. With my cultivation, I may not be able to sway Shiyan's will, but I can sway Eva. As long as Eva believes me, everything will be easy. Where is the only way from the Western Divine Realm to the Immortal Mountain?" A demon general said, "Changming Mountain, a spiritual mountain in a giant plain of the lower realms. It is very vast, about 100 miles long. As long as we lie in ambush on Changming Mountain, those battle angels will definitely not discover us. We will kill as many as they come. Alright, then we will lie in ambush on Changming Mountain. Your subordinate will arrange it right away. How many Mara do you need? Please tell us, Your Majesty. Ziyan raised his hand and said, we don't need just one Mara. This emperor will let Shi Yan and the other stubborn angels know the power of the ancient demon race. 9 underworlds, heed my command. Yes, Your Majesty. The 9 underworlds demon king nodded with a gloomy expression. Lead the nightmare warriors to Changming Mountain and lay in ambush. Wait for the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm to pass by. Remember, kill as many as they come. Don't let me down. Yes, Your Majesty, please rest assured. The nightmare warriors will definitely complete their mission. Yes. The 9 underworlds demon king turned around, and the 100 nightmare warriors outside the palace followed him into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Holy King Baifeng wanted to say something, but stopped himself and stood there motionlessly. What do you want to say? Ziyan asked. Baifeng said, the 9 underworlds demon king has never been convinced by Your Majesty. Aren't Your Majesty worried that the 9 underworlds demon king will lead the nightmare warriors to cause trouble? Cause trouble? Ziyan smiled faintly and said, one attack from the god-destroying pagoda is enough to destroy half of his nightmare warriors. Why should I be afraid? Moreover, I'm sending him to eliminate the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm. It all depends on whether that old guy is willing to work for me. If he does his best, then everything will be fine. If he fails, then I will have a reason to punish him. Baifeng frowned and said, I hope so. In the Western Divine Realm, the battle angels were sitting quietly in the Radiant Temple. Eva closed her eyes, and her mind was calm. Suddenly, she felt a strand of spiritual will enter her mind, forming an image in her mind. It was the image of the Immortal Mountain, but the top of the mountain was covered with Mara's army. A figure was struggling under the siege of the winged Mara. It was Qin. Even the East Flower Sword had been partially destroyed. Faint golden blood flowed on her robe, making it look extremely terrifying. Ah, Eva suddenly opened her eyes and her face was pale. What's wrong, Eva? Shi Yan asked with concern. I felt a terrifying scene. What terrifying scene? Sister, I saw Xin just now. She sent a distress signal from the Immortal Mountain. Although it was only a weak spiritual will, I'm sure that it was Xin. She is covered in wounds and needs our help. The Immortal Mountain? Shi Yan was shocked. Could it be that the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm are hiding in the Immortal Mountain? Yes, they have been discovered by the Demon Realm. We must send reinforcements, or else the Eastern Divine Realm will disappear completely. Shi Yan took a deep breath and frowned, not saying anything. Lady Shi Yan, shall we go? Terralyn said. Li Fei also said, yes, lady, what are we waiting for? Our strength is not enough to reverse the situation. Shi Yan looked at everyone calmly and said, even if we go, it will be useless. Not only will we not be able to save Xin, but we will also be buried under the god-destroying tower. But as gods, we should first have humanity. If we watch the Eastern Divine Realm be destroyed and do nothing, what kind of gods are we? Terralyn was a little excited. Teray and the others also seemed very excited, and all of them were eager to try. Then let's send reinforcements. Shi Yan gritted her teeth as she said, pass down my order. All 31 old gods who can fly are to follow me into battle. The Western God Realm must protect the last bloodline of the Eastern God Realm even if they have to give it their all. Rays of light flew out of the Temple of Light one after another. This time, the Western Divine Realm almost turned out in full force. However, Shi Yan and Eva did not know that the seeds of danger had been planted in the distance. Heaven's vault, gold. The golden sky suddenly brightened, and the figures of Lin Muyu, Ria, and Zhang Wei landed on the rocks one after another. Mue could not help but laugh. Little Junior, you really came back safely? Lin Muyu nodded, then cupped her fists and said respectfully to Fushi, "Disciple Lin Muyu greets master." Good. Fushi's gaze was gentle as he looked at his proudest disciple. He smiled and said, "Looks like you've already cultivated the power of sword domain. You really didn't disappoint me. These two are?" "Oh," Lin Muyu said, "this is Jianghu, a follower I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. This girl is Ria, a disciple I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. Ria, come and greet Grandmaster." Ria's eyes widened, and she quickly knelt down. "Ria greets Grandmaster." Fushi beamed. Good. I did not think that the School of Great Void would have another disciple, and a talented one at that. You have finally started a family. I dare not disobey you, Grandmaster. I will first take Ria as my disciple, and only after you give me your permission can I take her in." "I agree." Fushi raised his hand and smiled. "Ria, from now on, you will be the only third-generation disciple in our school. I hope you will cultivate well, keep the lives of the 6 realms in mind, and fight for order." "Yes, thank you, Grandmaster." Ria was very obedient, and Fushi liked her. Miue, Luanxing, and the others surrounded him, asking questions. But Fushi said, There is not much time left for you. You must return to the Eastern God Realm immediately." "How is the Eastern God Realm, Master?" "The Hall of Great Accomplishment has fallen, and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Xiao, and the others are hiding in the Buhai Mountains, cultivating. But there is something more urgent that you must do." "Please tell me, Master." The Lord of the Demon Realm, Ziyen, created an illusion to deceive Eva, making Eva think that the gods of the Eastern God Realm are trapped in the Immortal Mountain, so the gods of the Western God Realm are already on their way to reinforce the Immortal Mountain. But along the way, the 9 underworlds Demon Emperor has led 100 nightmare warriors in ambush on a spiritual mountain called the Eternal Brightness Mountain. You must immediately stop this disaster, and only you have the ability to do so. Although I can see through everything in the divine realm, Ziyen has already laid down a barrier, and my telekinesis cannot penetrate it to inform Xiyen, so you must go alone." "Yes, Master." Lin Muyu nodded. "Disciple will go to the Eternal Brightness Mountain now, Master. Please tell me where it is." "Okay." Fushi nodded, and his telekinesis pointed into the distance. Lin Muyu's mind immediately became clear, and she confirmed the specific location of the Eternal Brightness Mountain. She then raised her long sword and said, "Ria, Chang Wei, follow me to the Eternal Brightness Mountain. Be quick." "Yes, Master." "Yes, Martial God." Chapter 1244. Everlasting Brightness Mountain was a spiritual mountain that spanned several hundred kilometers. It was one of the more majestic spiritual mountains in the Eastern God Realm. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was too close to the Western Divine Realm, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor would have chosen Everlasting Brightness Mountain as his capital instead of Deshang Mountain. At this time, Everlasting Brightness Mountain was filled with hundreds of flowers and lush forests. Hidden in the deep grass were ancient demon gods who were holding their breaths, nightmares. They had completely concealed their auras and were lying there like inanimate objects. Adding on the barrier that the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor had set up, it was almost impossible for outsiders to discover what was going on here. The 10 Nightmare Vanguards knelt on the ground and surrounded the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor held a small white flower in his hand and smiled. "Life begins here and ends here. Once the flower blooms, it's a pity that all living beings fight and deceive each other, yet they don't know why the heavens do this." The Nightmare Vanguards didn't seem to understand what the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor was saying. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor coldly laughed and asked, "Do you know what the meaning of life is?" The Nightmare Vanguards, they had been asleep for many years and had long forgotten how to think. They only knew how to obey orders. A bunch of idiots. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor faintly smiled and lightly exerted force with his fingers. Instantly, the small flower in his hand turned into dust and scattered with the wind. The meaning of life is to be destroyed. You idiots know nothing but killing. Do you know what eternal loneliness is? The Nightmare Vanguards, the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor felt like he couldn't continue this conversation and said, I've trapped myself in this lonely well. Others can't come in, and I don't want to go out. The only thing that can come in is my thousands of thoughts, while you are the rain in the sky and the wind beside my ears. The Nightmare Vanguards were dumbfounded. What a bunch of boring fellows. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor looked at the Nightmare Vanguards in disdain and laid on the grass. If I hadn't become the Demon Emperor several tens of thousands of years ago, I would have been a poet by now. The Nightmare Vanguards were still dumbfounded, but one of them laughed. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor turned and glanced at him. Keep laughing and I'll kill you. At this moment, presences appeared in 9 Serenities Demon Emperor's spirit sense. He immediately raised his arm and said, All Nightmare Vanguards, Nightmare Vanguard, Vanguard. In reality, they were still close to 100 kilometers away, but the battle angels were flying very quickly, and it would only take them a few minutes to cover 100 kilometers. However, 1 minute later, the Netherworld Demon Monarch sensed 3 more forces flying toward him from above. One of them was extremely strong, while the other 2 were slightly weaker. He frowned. Demon Monarch, there seems to be an accident. A Nightmare Lord Vanguard said. He had also sensed the presence of Lin Muyu, Rhea, and the rest. Serenity's Ving's Demon Vanguards, the Netherworld Devil Monarch said, You and you 2 Vanguards will lead 20 Nightmare Demons to kill the 3 people in the sky. The rest will follow me to kill the gods of the Western Divine Realm. As long as we destroy the Western Divine Realm, we will definitely be put in an important position. Once we have the chance, we will steal the God-destroying tower. Without the God-destroying tower, Ziyen is nothing but trash. Yes, Demon King. They're here. The 9 Underworld's Demon Monarch roared and rushed into the sky with purple flames all over his body. He raised his left palm and turned it into a heavenly demon that grasped the blazing angel and moon goddess Shi Yen at the forefront of the formation. Shi Yen reacted quickly and realized that she had been tricked. She shouted, Be careful of the ambush. The light of the Chiwe sword soared and turned into a bright sword mark that split the energy of the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch's palm. The sword light fell straight down without dissipating and slashed the ground, causing a group of shapeshifters to scatter. Looking at the agile shapeshifters, Shi Yen could not help but feel her scalp go numb. The opponents in front of her were definitely not easy to deal with. She hurriedly shouted, Maintain a defensive formation, don't scatter. They are very strong. Rely on me and Lao Hua to defend against their attacks. The 2 blazing angels guarded the left and right sides of the formation. Dense sword rays burst out continuously, barely protecting the battle angels in the formation for a short period of time. Otherwise, if they were allowed to fight the Incubus warrior directly, most of the battle angels would be killed within 3 rounds. After all, the Incubus warrior's strength was equivalent to that of a mid-god. It was far from what Moro and those old gods could compare with. At the same time, there was a roar in the sky. Shi Yen looked up. She could not see the battle, but she could feel a familiar aura. She couldn't help but smile and said, You is here. Einherjar Lin Muyu is here. The morale of the battle angels was boosted. This was what they lacked the most. When encountering an enemy that was much stronger than them, they needed the courage to fight. If they did not dare to fight, they could only wait for death. In the sky, the 2 Incubus Vanguards danced in the air, carrying with them a piercing demonic flame. They launched a 2-on-1 attack on Lin Muyu while Rhea and Jianghu watched from afar. This was not a battle they could participate in. The strength of the Incubus Vanguards was far beyond their imagination. The strange-looking long-hilted weapon spun rapidly, unleashing a biting cold devil flame blade. The biting cold devil flame blade was as though it was scraping off the skin and bones, and if it was a common god, they would have been killed. However, Lin Muyu was no longer the same as before. Her palms struck out fiercely like steel and grabbed the hilt of the Nightmare Vanguard's weapon. She opened her right hand and aimed straight at the Nightmare Vanguard's heart. Ah! The nightmare warrior was shocked and realized that things were not good. Tens of thousands of sword chi exploded from his back, directly shredding his heart into pieces. He died in midair. His body was forcefully thrown down by Lin Muyu. With a turn of her body, the other nightmare beast vanguard's strange blade descended from the sky. Lin Muyu could not help but smile. She raised her finger and activated the AO sword tactics. Sword auras circled around her and pushed away the sword of the nightmare warrior. At the same time, she pointed her finger, and thousands of sword auras pierced through the nightmare warrior and turned him into a bloody mess. It was as if he was shot by thousands of bullets. Die! Faced with the siege of 20 nightmare warriors, Lin Muyu gathered her chi in her elixir field and activated the AO sword tactics. A huge ball was formed around her, surrounded by surging sword auras. It was the sword realm, one of the mental cultivation methods of the AO sword tactics. For a moment, the 20 nightmare warriors kept hitting the ball, and they were either dead or injured. They fell one by one, howling in pain. Lin Muyu did not stay and shouted, "I'll go help Shiyen. Changwei, Ria, clean up the mess." "Yes, master." Ria pulled out Star Trace, and her body swept through the air like a gust of wind. Her sharp sword chopped off the head of an injured incubus warrior. Before the other incubus warrior could get close, Ria quickly moved and spun in the air to avoid the attack. Star Trace followed up with a violent strike, crushing the enemy's heart with the power of first appearance of starlight. Changwei did not dare to get too close. He could only pick a nightmare warrior that had been beaten half to death by Lin Muyu and started fighting. For a moment, they were evenly matched. "I plead with the power of the god of summer. Give me the strongest power of heat." Tuli's long sword was covered in flames. He swept out with a loud bang. Bang! A Nightmare Lord vanguard used a strange shield to defend perfectly. Apart from a fire mark on the shield, it was unscathed. Instead, he flipped his hand and threw out his spear. The spear carried a chilling demonic flame and had an unstoppable aura. Clang! Tu Lei used his long blade to parry the spear, but how could he block it? The spear pierced through his heart in an instant. His eyes were filled with confusion as he looked at the enemies in front of him. He didn't even know where these powerful enemies came from, nor did he know why he was humiliated to death. Sha sha sha. The body of an orthodox god dissipated like red sand in the wind. The god of summer Tuli, a first-tier intermediate god, had died in battle. Tuli, not far away, Terolin's heart was shocked. There were still 7 opponents at the level of this nightmare vanguard, and there was an even more powerful 9 Serenities demon monarch. One could imagine how much pressure Shiyen, who was resisting the 9 Serenities demon monarch and 4 nightmare vanguards alone, was under. In the surroundings, battle angels were constantly being killed. Screams could be heard one after another. Shiyen was in an extremely difficult situation. Her arms felt as heavy as lead, which was caused by the strange demonic flames of the 9 Serenities demon monarch. In addition, the 4 nightmare vanguards' fierce attacks had almost exhausted Shiyan's divine power. If it weren't for the powerful moon chill, she would have already been defeated. Die, moon goddess. 9th underworld demon monarch cackled. His palms fell together, and his fingers clasped the Chiwe sword like an eagle's claw. The pervasive demonic flame rushed along the blade and quickly wrapped Shiyan's body. Ah! Shiyen was shocked. Lady Shiyen! The crowd shouted, but no one had the strength to enter the battlefield. At this moment, a blood-red lightning suddenly descended from the sky and seeped into Shiyan's arms. It continuously dispelled the demonic flames of the Abyss Demon King, making Shiyen feel as if her body had been reborn. The moon chill suddenly erupted and pushed the Abyss Demon King back. Above her, the handsome boy asked with a lazy smile, "Sister Shiyen, long time no see. Did you miss me?" Shiyen also smiled, "I missed you to death. Don't say useless things. Help me." Lin Muyu's holy martial power rampaged in the air, greatly increasing the battle strength of the battle angels. At the same time, he finally unsheathed the Xianyuan sword and shouted with a stern aura, "Abyss Demon King, eat my sword." Boom! The sword, which was as majestic as a mountain, fell from the sky. It was not a simple sword, but a sword that contained the supreme mental cultivation of the AO sword tactics. It seemed simple, but it made the Abyss Demon King's scalp tingle. However, this sword only contained 40% of the AO sword tactics power. It was a question whether to take this sword or not. It would be embarrassing if he didn't. If he did, he might lose his life. Chapter 1245. Ha! Good boy. Devil Monarch's eyes burst with a fierce light. The madness of the people in the Devil Realm was undoubtedly revealed. He suddenly opened his palms, and a brilliant demon flame domain appeared in his chest. After hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation, this old monster knew what kind of power to use to deal with what kind of power. Obviously, Lin Muyu's AO sword tactics could not be resisted by ordinary martial arts, so he did not hesitate to use his unique skill, Burning Nirvana. Like AO sword tactics, Burning Nirvana was also a very powerful domain martial art. In the bright starry domain, small demon flame balls kept exploding, but all the power was suppressed in one, waiting to reach the zero world to give Lin Muyu the strongest blow. A group of battle angels and nightmare warriors were watching, and their hearts seemed to stop. What would be the result of the fight between the two peerless powerhouses? Boom! The Shenyuan sword fell down with the field of the great AO sword technique and hit the burning nirvana of the demon monarch of the Nine Serenities. Suddenly, continuous explosions sounded one after another. The explosion in the small space in front of the chest of the demon monarch of the Nine Serenities was like the scene of the nirvana of the star universe. Although it was small, it was so powerful that people felt suffocated. Unable to defeat Devil Monarch with one blow, Lin Muyu did not hesitate. She suddenly retreated dozens of meters, holding the long sword on her right shoulder with both hands. The roaring domain flame erupted from the blade, and she rushed again like lightning. The second blow, 60% of the power of AO sword tactics. Damn it! Devil Monarch couldn't help cursing. His palms were round, and he increased the power of Burning Nirvana to more than 80%. Even the bones of his whole body made a clear, violent sound. His body was about to be unable to bear the powerful impact of AO sword tactics. Boom! The second blow. At the moment when the two forces collided, the crowd almost couldn't hear anything. This was probably what the saying, "the loudest sound," is all about. The strongest sound was so strong that the crowd couldn't hear anything. Lin Muyu's body was already wrapped in a thick layer of sword domain sphere, while the netherworld demon monarch's body was already on fire. Wow! He let out a miserable groan and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he still tried his best to activate the burning nirvana flame and forcefully shook off Lin Muyu's second attack. Even so, everyone knew that the Nine Serenities Demon King had suffered a great loss in the second exchange. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but Lin Muyu seemed to be completely fine. There was only calmness and composure on his handsome face. Standing in the sky, Lin Muyu looked at Abysmal Demon Monarch proudly. Without saying a word, she put her left index finger and middle finger together and casually pointed in the air. However, this finger was not simple. With 70% of the power of the mighty AO sword tactics, it turned into a huge sword chi that fell from the sky and directly hit the burning nirvana domain that Abysmal Demon Monarch had not fully condensed. Pooh! This time, not only did he cough up blood, but the netherworld demon lord's chest was also pierced by the sword chi, and his internal organs could be seen. His injuries could not be any worse. Ah! The great pain made the old monster howl. While struggling to retreat, he roared, "Nightmares, kill this person, kill for me." Several nightmare vanguards who had been fighting with Eva and Shiyen immediately rushed over. Lin Muyu did not say anything more. Tens of thousands of sword chi whirled around her, turning into a rainbow light and piercing through two nightmare vanguards. Suddenly, the bodies of two nightmare vanguards were smashed into pieces. They had died in the battle. The moment the sword chi suddenly exploded, countless sword chi raged. Suddenly, more than 10 nightmare warriors were killed. At this time, Lin Muyu seemed to have turned into a god of war. No one could resist his attack. Obviously, even the old monster abysmal demon monarch had been defeated, let alone the nightmare warriors. Bastard, bastard. The netherworld demon monarch flew quickly on the surface of Changming Mountain and disappeared in the jungle in the blink of an eye. At this time, he was full of anger. Originally, he could have used the Nightmare Army to destroy the whole Western Divine Realm and gain the ultimate trust of Ziyen. However, he suffered such a crushing defeat. An Einherjar appeared out of nowhere, and it was his Nightmare Army that was destroyed. In the air, the Nightmare Warriors obeyed their master's order and still attacked relentlessly. However, Shi Yan, Eva, and Li Fei had been strengthened by the power of holy martial arts, and their strength had increased greatly. Facing the Nightmare Warriors, they were not completely at a disadvantage, especially Shi Yan, who had killed many nightmares with the Qi sword. Of course, the one who killed the most was Lin Muyu. Her sword Qi was in the air, and the AO sword skill was so powerful that the Nightmare Warriors were all killed in the blink of an eye. Among the 10 Nightmare Warriors, only one was killed by Shi Yan and Eva. The other 9 were all killed by Lin Muyu's AO sword skill. As for the Nightmare Warriors, they were barely alive and were not far from death. The battle was very short. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. 100 Nightmare Warriors were all killed, and only the Netherworld Demon Monarch escaped. Looking down at the ground, there were sword Qi everywhere on Spirited Mountain. Most of them were the masterpieces of Lin Muyu, and some were caused by the attacks of Seraphim and Battle Angels. The corpses of the Nightmare Warriors and Nightmare Warriors were scattered in the jungle. In addition, there were also the corpses of some Battle Angels and old deities, as well as Summer God Teray, who had turned into ashes. Although they won, there was no smile on the faces of Shi Yan, Eva, and others. No one knew if there were more nightmare armies in the demon realm, but the old deities were getting fewer and fewer. Russell. Shi Yan landed and knelt beside a female battle angel. She gently picked up her corpse and said, "Retrieve the corpses of your companions and return to the Western Divine Realm." "Yes, Madame Shi Yan." Everyone picked up the corpses of their companions one by one. At a glance, more than 10 battle angels had died. Lin Muyu frowned. "Sister Xin, my condolences, I'm fine." Shi Yan shook her head and said, It's all thanks to your timely arrival. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the entire Western Divine Realm would have been annihilated here today. That despicable Ziyen actually used an illusion to lure us and set up an ambush along the way." Lin Muyu said, "Let's go. I'll escort you back to the Western Divine Realm." In the cemetery behind the Temple of Light in the Western Divine Realm, a hasty funeral was held in the afternoon. Lin Muyu also attended the funeral. After all, the Western Divine Realm was like another home for her. Now that the 4 divine realms had formed an alliance against the demon realm, everyone was on the same side. It started to rain. Only a few people held up umbrellas. The corridor leading from the cemetery to the Temple of Light was a little slippery, but Xian still walked on foot. She wore a clean and elegant white blazing angel cloak, which complemented her beautiful figure and elegant face. As she walked, she said to Lin Muyu beside her, You really obtained a different kind of power after going to the Eternal Sword Domain." Lin Muyu said, "This power is called the Proud Sword Technique. It's very strong, but also very difficult to control. The Proud Sword Technique is a pure state of mind. Once you can't control it, you'll be controlled by arrogance and killing. That's equivalent to falling into the demonic path." "Is that so?" Xian smiled slightly. "I thought you could teach the Western Divine Realm a thing or two about this power of the Sword Domain." Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. "I didn't say that I can't teach it to others. I just need to be moderate. If Sister Xian wants to learn it, I'll give it to you. With Sister Xian's state of mind, it won't be a problem to cultivate it to 70 or 80%. "Really? Really? Good." Lin Muyu paused, then said, "But Sister Xian, you must promise not to teach it to others. The Proud Sword Technique can create a martial god, but it can also create a killing god. People who don't have a strong enough mind can never cultivate the proud sword technique. What? Let's go. There are still many things waiting for us to deal with. Oh, there's one more thing. What is it? I have some gifts to give to the Western Divine Realm. Before I left, I heard from Xiao Yin that it's something you need urgently. What is it? Eva also tilted her head and asked. Raw light stones, 175 raw light stones. Ah! Shi Yen and Eva were both shocked. At night, in the Temple of Light, a group of battle angels offered sacrifices to the dead. Under the faint candlelight of the side hall, Shi Yen held a simplified pen and wrote names on the paper. This was what she had to do urgently. She selected 175 powerful useless gods from the major families and then used the raw light stones to turn them into old gods and battle angels. This was the advantage of the Western Divine Realm, and also the only thing they could rely on. Lin Muyu sat on a stone bed a few meters in front of Shi Yen. He sat cross-legged, surrounded by blood-colored lightning. That was the power of the holy martial arts. His spiritual thoughts had already flown beyond the clouds to search for the whereabouts of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the other gods from the Eastern Divine Realm. His spiritual energy flew in the air, but it seemed like there was a huge net in the air. Every time Lin Muyu tried to break through, he would be knocked back by the pain all over his body. Not long after, his forehead was covered in sweat. It was even impossible to contact Jin Shang's master, Fushi. What is that? He asked. Shi Yen didn't even raise her head. She was still writing names on the paper, but she said, enchantment. Zi Yen used the power of the god-destroying tower to create a super strong enchantment. It is this enchantment that causes the 4 divine realms to be unable to communicate with each other at present. But even with your cultivation, you can't break through this barrier? I can, but the price will be very high. It might hurt my spiritual senses. Then don't try. Your strength must be preserved. Not a single bit of damage is allowed. Okay. Lin Muyu said, Sister Xian, starting tomorrow, I will go out to search for the whereabouts of Xiao Yin and the others. Ria and Zhang Wei will stay with you for now. Teach Ria some martial arts of the Western Divine Realm and urge her to continue cultivating. Shi Yen smiled happily. I really like this female disciple of yours. Don't worry, I will protect her. Thank you. Chapter 1246. In the Great Accomplishment Mountain, a battered and exhausted figure fell into the Great Accomplishment Palace. It was the injured 9th Serenity Demon King. Wah! As soon as he landed, he spat out a mouthful of stinking demonic blood. The Holy King's faces turned pale with fright. None of them expected that an old monster would be injured. Zi Yen squinted his eyes and asked, Senior 9th Serenity, what happened to you? Annihilated. What annihilated? The Nightmare Army was annihilated. The 9th Serenity Demon King trembled slightly as he said, Lin Muyu. Martial God Lin Muyu is back, with peerless power. What? Lin Muyu is back? Zi Yen looked at him proudly. Senior, look at me while talking. What happened? Didn't you go to intercept Shi Yen, Eva, and the others? Yes, but Lin Muyu suddenly appeared, killed my vanguards, and defeated me. The 9th Serenity Demon King did not hide anything and said, Lin Muyu is too strong. He defeated me in 3 moves. He is too strong. 3 moves? Sage Ruler White Wind couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. How is this possible? Demon King, you are even stronger than a first-class superior god. Even Shi Yen may not be your match, right? I don't know. The Netherworld Demon Monarch shook his head like he was crazy. I don't know why, but he's really too strong. I'm not his opponent. Lin Muyu, he's grasped the power of a heaven domain, an undefeatable power. Enough. Ziyan's eyes were cold as he said, Fire Jade Sage Monarch, Dragon Sparrow Sage Monarch, the 2 of you will support the Demonic Monarch to recuperate and rest. Senior, you should rest well. No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, can he win against my god-destroying pagoda? The netherworld demonic king was helped down by two holy king. The holy king Bai Feng said, "Your Majesty, since even the 9 underworlds demon king was defeated, it proves that Lin Muyu's cultivation is indeed not to be underestimated. We must be careful. You must be very happy that Lin Muyu has returned in such a powerful state, right? This is the balance you want." Ziyan sneered. Holy King Bai Feng looked helpless. "Your Majesty, I didn't mean that." Stop it." Ziyan took a deep breath. "No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, I will use the perfect God exterminating pagoda to destroy him. No matter how strong he is, he will die under the God exterminating pagoda. Don't worry. Your Majesty, are you planning to use the God exterminating tower to kill him? Long distance?" Ziyan sneered. "I'm not that stupid. I can't even kill the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Tang Xiaoxi, and Qin Yin from a long distance, not to mention the stronger Lin Muyu. Even if I want to attack, I will definitely attack from a distance. He won't even have the chance to dodge or resist." At this moment, a group of demon generals walked in. They were the leaders who were out patrolling. "Did you find anything?" Ziyan looked at them coldly. "No, Your Majesty." "A bunch of trash." The group of demon generals' faces turned ugly. One of them walked forward and knelt down. "Your Majesty, I have a small discovery." "Speak." "Yesterday, when I was patrolling at the border of the eastern and northern celestial realms, I suddenly felt a trace of demon god's aura. However, it was only for a moment. After that, I couldn't feel it anymore." "Demon god's aura? What do you mean?" Ziyan's eyes turned cold. "Your Majesty, you should also know that all the demon gods who ascended from the mortal realm have already gone to the Fekta temple to register. Only one person did not go, and that is the demon god who ascended from the celestial pole continent, Nuslik. This woman has never been to the demon realm after she obtained her demon body. I have checked and found out that I was the only demon realm force that was patrolling that area yesterday. Therefore, I determined that Nuslik must be there. Since she is there, the gods of the eastern celestial realm might be hiding there. Where exactly is it?" "Not Haishan." "Haha." Ziyan couldn't help but laugh. 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao, you cowards have been hiding for so long. It's time for you to come out and take a breather. Someone, summon the illusory pool." "Yes, Your Majesty." The stone floor in the center of the hall slowly dispersed, revealing the misty illusory pool below. Ziyan waved his hand and the mist above the illusory pool dispersed, revealing the scene of the not Haishan area that he wanted to see. However, it was a dense jungle and there was nothing worth being happy about. The group of Holy King and demon generals were silent, but there was disappointment on their faces. However, Ziyan wasn't the same. He sneered. The god-destroying pagoda in his hand suddenly spun rapidly. Layers of the pagoda rotated continuously, bringing with it the power of crimson demon flames. Suddenly, a strong beam of light shot into the distance. Not long after, a beam of light shot down from the sky in the image in the illusory pool. Immediately, the illusion of the jungle began to change. In the blink of an eye, the dense jungle became open land, and a blurry figure appeared. "Found it." Ziyan quickly retracted the energy of the god-destroying pagoda and smiled. "Finally found it. Send the order immediately, gather the army of the demon realm and head to the not Haishan area tomorrow morning to exterminate the remnants of the eastern celestial realm." "Yes." At dawn, there was silence in the light temple. Shi Yan was still selecting the list. "Russell?" Amidst the footsteps, Eva walked in and sat on the windowsill. She said, "Yu is gone. He really can't wait until dawn." Shi Yan smiled faintly. "But this is also expected. He doesn't want to wait too long." "Yes, Yu doesn't want to wait too long." Eva said, "Actually, it's really thanks to this kid. Otherwise, I'm afraid we can't sit here and talk now." "Oh, you passed the mental cultivation method of AO sword tactics to you?" "Yes, but I don't have time to practice now. You are now the ruler of the Western Heaven Realm. Naturally, you don't have time to practice. Teach me, I will practice. In your dreams. Wait until I master it. Is there any news from the demon realm? I don't know. Our telekinesis channels are all blocked. We can't see what's happening in the distance. Don't worry so much. Shi Yan glanced at the list next to her and said, You help me select the last few names on the list, and then start summoning them to the Light Temple. As long as these more than 100 angels regain the power of blessing, our Western Divine Realm can form a dominant force that can't be ignored. Even if we encounter the main force of the demon realm, we will have the power to fight. Eva picked up the list, glanced at it, and said, You really don't plan to practice the AO sword tactics? No, I've been creating the 8th slash of Shi Yan recently. The 8th slash? Eva stuck out her tongue. It looks so powerful. How powerful is it? What's its name? In terms of power, although it is not as overbearing as the AO sword tactics, it is not much inferior. As for the name, I haven't thought of it yet. Shi Yan glanced at Yuhua and said with a smile, How about calling it Chop His Father's Mashed Pieces? Eva was speechless. As long as you're happy. Did you leave out Yuan Chue's family in this list? They have a few great perfection deities in their family. They can join us. Yeah, I really forgot. You can add them. On a spiritual mountain less than 15 kilometers away from the Hall of Great Accomplishment, dark clouds gathered in the sky. Groups of winged Mara flew past as if they were gathering. In the clouds, there was one person who was silent. It was Lin Muyu. His aura had almost been reduced to 0, so those winged Mara obviously could not sense him. However, this did not mean that the winged Mara could not discover him. There was a boom from the side, and one of the winged Mara directly crashed into Lin Muyu's arms. F***CK. He snorted, hugged the winged Mara, and twisted his neck. However, a group of winged Mara around him hurriedly flapped their wings and besieged him. There were about 20 of them. Lin Muyu acted quickly. The AO sword tactics was suddenly activated, and a group of Mara was turned into minced meat in an instant. Then he concealed his aura and hid in the clouds again. In the distance, groups of Mara were galloping in the direction of Mount Deshang. What's going on? He frowned and said to himself, Did Ziyan discover the whereabouts of Shao Yin and the others? He must be right. If he did not discover the whereabouts of the Eastern deities, Ziyan would not have mobilized so many people. However, Lin Muyu could not sense where Qin Yin and the others were. What should he do? He only thought for 3 seconds and came up with a plan. Then, he could only blend into the circle of Mara and attack together with Ziyan. Once he found Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, he would immediately counterattack. Staring into the distance, he began to look for the target. After nearly 10 minutes, the target finally appeared. It was a demon general riding a dragon tiger and holding a big hammer in his hand. He looked very powerful. His body was covered by a cloak, and even his face could not be seen clearly. However, it was obvious that he was a big guy with a fierce face, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. He was lost, so he urged the dragon tiger to rush into the clouds. Pitter-patter. After a round of beating, the body of the demon general was thrown down the clouds, and Lin Muyu took his place. She put on the bulky armor and cloak, carried the thick and heavy war hammer, and mounted the dragon tiger. The dragon tiger was covered with dragon armor and mixed fur, and its head was a fierce tiger. With a roar, it turned around and bit Lin Muyu's arm. How could she do that? Bang! With a light punch, the head of the dragon tiger was smashed into pieces. F***C, it's so weak? Lin Muyu was stunned. She quickly raised her hand and shouted, Come out, Acatosaurus. Roar roar. The Acatosaurus came out from the alternate dimension, and it looked even more majestic. Its head was very ferocious, and it had the aura of a dragon king. It rubbed its arms against Lin Muyu. Can you transform? Lin Muyu carried the dragon tiger's corpse and said, Can I turn into this? The Acatosaurus did not say a word. It went forward and bit off the head of the dragon tiger, chewed it, and let out a cry. Its body began to transform, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a dragon tiger. I knew it. Lin Muyu stepped on the dragon tiger's corpse and threw it away. The perfect form of the dragon race was that they could transform into anything, even humans. However, looking at the appearance of the Acatosaurus, it seemed like it could transform into anything it ate. Lin Muyu could not help but sigh, and the image of the Acatosaurus turning into a pile of shit appeared in her mind. Chapter 1247. Gather and prepare to attack. The horn of the demon realm sounded on Mount Desheng. In the distance, Ziyan held the god of destruction in his hand and led the injured demon king of 9 serenities and a group of holy king-level leaders of the demon realm to inspect the 3 armies. Countless Mara were hovering in the air. Ziyan's voice was very loud and clear. He said, "We have found the whereabouts of the remnants of the Eastern Divine Realm. Attack with me and annihilate them completely. Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor!" A group of demon generals raised their weapons and roared fanatically. Among them, the demon general that Lin Muyu incarnated also raised his warhammer, but he didn't say, "Long live the Emperor." He just joined in the commotion. At the same time, he had to take care of the dragon and tiger transformed by Acatosaurus to prevent it from eating the mounts of other demon generals in one bite. The dark clouds rolled away. Ziyan, 9 serenities, Bai Feng, and others had already flown away from Mount Desheng, followed by the dense Mara army. Lin Muyu didn't fall behind. She urged Acatosaurus to follow closely behind Ziyan and others. At the closest, it was less than 100 meters away from Ziyan. Tens of millions of demon army were moving in the sky like a huge black hole. It was very scary, and Lin Muyu was just a small part of it. "Howl!" Acatosaurus roared, almost attracting the attention of the demon generals. Lin Muyu hurriedly restrained it. At the same time, she frowned. If she took action at this time, she could prevent Ziyan from finding Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and others. But it also meant that Lin Muyu had to fight 1 against 10 million. This was not a joke. Even if she had mastered the AO sword tactics and the power of holy martial arts, she couldn't be so arrogant. After all, the god-destroying tower could not be underestimated, and the divine power would eventually be exhausted. But if she found the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm and used the power of holy martial arts to bless the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Ziyao, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and others, it would be completely different. At that time, no matter how many troops Mara had, there was nothing to fear. So, Lin Muyu had been holding back, quietly driving Acatosaurus to fly to the depths of the divine realm with Ziyan, the demon monarch of 9 serenities, and others. In the sky, layers of clouds were constantly intertwining. Ziyan and others flew farther and farther away. They were thousands of meters away, but a few holy king infiltrated the crowd of Mara's army, as if to inspect them. Not far away, the slim female holy king was Bai Feng. Although Lin Muyu didn't know Bai Feng, she always felt that there was something special about this holy king. As for how special it was probably because she was very beautiful. Bai Feng's eyes swept over more than 100 demon generals beside Lin Muyu, and finally flew to Lin Muyu's side. She gently touched the head of Acatosaurus with her palm. Howl! Acatosaurus bared its fangs. Lin Muyu hurriedly covered its back with her palm, ordering it not to act rashly. Otherwise, if more than 100 demon generals attacked together, it would be very troublesome. This dragon tiger doesn't seem to be completely tamed, right? Bai Feng's bright eyes looked at Lin Muyu and flew forward with her. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, "Yes, but it's almost done, Your Excellency Holy King." "Your voice." Bai Feng was a little hesitant and said, "Your voice isn't as rough and hoarse as those demon generals. You're also very special, and your figure is far less sturdy than those of other demon generals." Lin Muyu said, "When Ancestor Emperor Yin was also a demon general, his figure was similar to mine." "Hehe, that's true." Bai Feng flew forward with great interest and sat on the dragon's back beside Lin Muyu and asked, "Can I give you a ride?" "As long as Your Excellency Holy King is willing." Lin Muyu was very perturbed. She always felt that Holy King Baifeng had noticed something, but she was not sure. With Baifeng's strength, once he noticed something wrong, he should immediately take action. Turning around, Baifeng's feet were bathed in the clouds, and he seemed to be very leisurely. Baifeng, Holy King. Lin Muyu wanted to say something but stopped. She wanted to ask if he had seen through her. But Baifeng smiled faintly and said, "There's no need to ask. There's no problem with your weapon, mount, and attire. There are tens of thousands of demon generals in the demon realm, and there are even octagonal ones, not to mention yours. But your only flaw is that you actually chatted with me. You don't know how much fear the demon generals have for the Holy King, let alone me, the Holy King." Unknowingly, Lin Muyu had already silently activated the AO sword tactics, and her clothes slowly began to flutter. "Don't make a move," Baifeng said calmly. "Once you make a move, you will really be exposed. I only want to ask you one question." "Go ahead." Lin Muyu was a little helpless. Her strength was far above her, but now it seemed that she was being controlled by her. Baifeng smiled and said, "Are you the person who injured the 9 Nether Demon King?" "Yes." "Then what do you want to do by sneaking into the Demon Realm army this time?" "Defeat you all." Lin Muyu did not hide and said, "And also to revitalize the Eastern Divine Realm." "Then I wish you success." Baifeng moved his butt away from the dragon's back and floated in the air. He said, "Don't be seen through early and don't be killed early. The God-destroying tower is very powerful now, perhaps beyond your imagination. You must be careful when dealing with it. I'm leaving." With that, Baifeng turned and flew away. Lin Muyu frowned and did not know what to say. The hundreds of demon generals at the side also came closer. All of them were very silent and did not say anything, as if everything was natural. Perhaps to them, it was none of their business that Baifeng, the Holy King, and this demon general talked so much. As the saying went, if it was none of their business, it was their way of doing things. In the Buhai Mountain, the people of the Eastern Divine Realm in the dense forest did not know that danger was approaching. It was not until the Demon Realm army was within 1,000 miles that they realized it, and the first person to realize it was Chu Yao. She woke up from her dream and found Ziyao and Qin Yin. Sister Chu Yao's prophecy is definitely not wrong. Qin Yin stood in the field filled with fragrant grass and said with certainty, "We should have been prepared." The 7 luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath and said, "Actually, I also have a bad feeling. It seems that the demon realm has found us. I said that the beam of light yesterday was a bit strange, and now it seems that it is indeed the demon realm's way of investigating us. Don't say anything else. Order everyone to be on guard and prepare for battle. We can't escape, so we can only fight to the death with them." Ziyao frowned and said, "With our current strength, we have no chance of winning. What should we do?" "We have to fight even if we don't have a chance of winning. Now we can only hope that Shi Yan will receive the news and come to help." "Let's hope so." Dozens of meters away, Feng Jixing and Wei Chou walked over with their weapons in hand. They were even wearing the armor of the Great Qin Empire. They didn't have the time to change into anything else. The Eastern God world was so poor and dejected that they didn't have any armor for them to change into. They could only make do with it. "Another battle?" Feng Jixing asked. Tang Xiaoxi nodded and said, "The demon realm has found us. These demon realm people really don't know when to give up." Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and pressed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said, "Demon Emperor, do you have a plan for how we fight? If we stubbornly defend here, we will be bombarded by them from above. I'm afraid we won't be able to resist at all." The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked, "Wind God, what plan do you have?" "You're over there." Feng Jixing pointed into the distance. There was a lone peak that was about 2,000 meters tall. He said, "We can hide our main force on that mountain and use a small portion of the gods as bait. This way, when the demon world's army attacks the mountain, the main force on the mountain can launch an attack from a high vantage point. This way, we won't lose the terrain advantage." "Okay, let's do that." The 7 luminaries demon emperor knew that Feng Jixing had been fighting wars since he was immortal, and although he was the demon emperor, he was only good at one-on-one battles. At this time, the enemy was strong and he was weak, so it was better to use more tricks. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the quiet Buhai mountains and plains calmed down again. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Ziyao, and Chu Chu led some useless gods to stay in the jungle, while Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Qin Yin, and other righteous gods who mainly attacked hid on the solitary peak, waiting for a counterattack from above. We're almost there. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor took a deep breath and looked at the sky calmly. He knew that this would be a fierce battle, but as long as they could deal with the god-destroying tower, there was still hope for the eastern celestial world. There were a limited number of powerful people in the demon realm, which were Ziyan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and Jiuju Holy Emperor. As for Bai Feng and the others, they were not worth mentioning. They're here. Sun Feng held his long sword, his face a little pale. The sky that was originally surrounded by auspicious clouds was covered by purple clouds in the blink of an eye. The clouds rolled over, and the clouds were filled with shrill cries. It was Mara's army. Above the clouds, Ziyan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and other leaders of the demon realm stepped on the air. Looking at the people on the ground, Ziyan laughed and said sternly, 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, you have nowhere to run this time, right? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor held Pangu's axe and raised his head proudly. I, your father, have no intention of running away. Come on, I can't hold back my killing intent anymore. Although he said this, Ziyao's eyes were filled with worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's pride had not fully recovered. It had only recovered to about 70%, but the power of the god-destroying tower was almost perfect. This time, if the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor used his pride to resist the power of the god-destroying tower, he might not be able to escape death. All right, I'll do as you wish. The corners of Ziyan's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Brats from the demon world, charge. Kill them all. 9 Nether Senior, attack with me, all right? 9 Nether's injuries had not fully recovered, but he could only smile bitterly and nod. Yes, your majesty. However, just as the demon realm army was about to fight, a thung sound was heard. A pitch-black object smashed from behind and directly hit the back of Ziyan's head. Dang! It was a war hammer, and it bounced off Ziyan's head. However, Ziyan's face had already turned green. He suddenly turned around and roared, "Which bastard can't control himself? Traitor, come out and accept your death." In the neat formation of demon generals, the young man riding on Dragon Tiger slowly urged Dragon Tiger to fly forward. He raised his head and lifted his cloak, revealing a handsome and unruly face. He had a lazy smile on his face. I smashed it. What can you do to me? Brother you. On the mountain peak, Qin Yin was so excited that she almost cried. Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned. Mu is back. On the ground, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor heaved a sigh of relief. He smiled weakly. We won this battle. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.